Okay, I'd like to call the Dayton Conservation Commission meeting open. Would everyone rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everybody could sign in, please. There's a yellow sheet coming around.
This meeting opened at roughly 6 p.m. The meeting is video and audio recorded for cable broadcast and internet posting on www.daytonmass.gov and YouTube. Okay. First item on the agenda is to review, discuss, act. It's a continued hearing on notice of intent from Holly Grotta of 1325 Rebecca Road, map 13, lot 113, for a septic repair.
How we doing?
Good evening, good, how are you? Got a couple of plans if you guys want.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'll pass them out to you.
Okay.
Any changes?
Oh.
No.
Okay. I can open it up right here. Oh, we got it here. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Brad Fitzgerald from SFG Engineering, 28 Main Street in Lakeville. We're the project engineers. This project's for a septic system repair. The existing septic system is located behind the house. It's a very busy backyard with a deck and a pool and a shed. But the system is in failure, so we're proposing a new system. We're gonna put in a 1,500-gallon, two-compartment monolithic septic tank, followed by a 1,000-gallon monolithic pump chamber, which will pump up to the leaching area, which you can see is in the northeast corner of the property. Southeast corner. We chose this area because A, that's where the perk was done, and B, because of the high water table, there was no room to fit it out front between, you got a gas service and a water service, and if you go in that northwest corner, by the time you raise the system for the water table and you do your grading, you're either gonna be grading over the property line or onto the house. So there's just physically not enough room to fit this system up there. So we put it as far from the BBW as we could. Beyond the BBW is the Segregated River. And we're proposing prior to the start of construction that an erosion control barrier go in down the south property line, and then northerly up to the north property line. That'll stay in place until all the work is done. It's been graded, loamed, and seeded, and the grass is taken.
Okay.
Other than that, there's,
Do any of you guys have any questions?
I do. When I was out there a few weeks ago, I did walk that line a little bit. It just looks like flag 6, the wetland flag, I think needs to come up a bit. Nothing that's gonna hold anything up, but just the delineation looks like it's off a little bit. So if we just want to adjust it.
Well, you could write that in the order of conditions, correct?
Yeah, I would just like it on the plan accurately
Okay.
as much as possible, but I think, 6 was pretty much brought up more like this. So like, instead of here, it was more like here.
so just basically connect 5 to here, and put 6 in between.
Yeah, or, there's a little.
Little jog, yeah, okay.
They're there.
And then,
Yeah, we talked about
Okay.
should be on that, should be.
Okay. Lisa,
you guys might have something, but we didn't have a bunch.
okay, yeah, but this would require signs too on wetland conservation signs.
Yes, and signs are proposed on the plan.
Okay, all right.
I believe we proposed 3.
Anybody here have any more questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions? Yes. But I don't remember the
They
butters.
were read after the fact. I know we
Okay.
didn't really open the hearing, but these were read at the meeting.
Okay.
Is Janet Bruce here?
I had spoken with Mrs. Bruce before the meeting.
Okay, great.
And her
then-
concern, as she states in her letter, is that she's worried that this system would have an impact on her future system. And I told her there's no possible way because we have setbacks off our own property lines we have to hold, and she has setbacks off hers. So the minimum that these systems could be nearest each other is 20 feet apart. So that, I told her there's no way that we would impact her system.
Well, on one side, you have nothing because that's where the wetlands are. And then you have the house and a driveway and probably another 50 feet anyway of property.
Yeah.
So you're talking well over 100 feet.
Well, I don't know where she would put a system, but,
Yeah.
but the key is with 10-foot setback, minimum setbacks, that's
Yeah.
20 feet right there, that the
Yeah.
system, so they won't touch each other, won't come near each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other concern is that this subdivision's in a flood zone. So as I told Janet, I mean, if this subdivision came before us today, it wouldn't be allowed where it is anyway. So now we're trying to rectify the septic systems and repair them. So this is a good thing, obviously. The only other thing I have is that we want the 25-foot buffer zone restored, and we discussed it with the owner. So I will condition it as such, but, do you know how many trees are being removed?
No. There's one right in the middle of the proposed system. There's a couple others up near the deck,
3 clusters,
probably 3.
cluster of 3.
Yeah.
That was right close to the system.
Yeah, so that one right near the deck and the one right in the middle of the system,
Trees suck
so.
up water too.
Is this over there?
We did get a letter from the Board of Health. I know we would like to see their reviews done before we finish our review, so, did anyone want to read it for the record?
What are they proposing, that we hold this up? This is, oh,
No, they're not proposing that we hold it up. It's just their review letter. I think we should read it for the record.
okay. A review on the proposed septic plan for 1325 Rebecca Road has been completed. Proposed is a repair of an existing failed system that services a 3-bedroom dwelling on a single 19,100 square foot lot. The lot has significant constraints, primarily being significantly within the 100-foot wetland buffer. The front of the lot is not able to fit the proposed septic due to size and other constraints, including the existing water service, utilities, and driveway. The engineer has requested local upgrade approvals and variances related to distances of the tank, pump chamber, and SAS to the bordering vegetated wetland and river. Additionally, a sleeve analysis was performed in place of a perk test due to high groundwater. The system is proposed within the maximum feasible compliance for a repair. All property line setbacks are met or exceeded with the entire system is contained on the lot in which it serves. The system is a pumped system to meet groundwater separation and will be elevated approximately 3 feet with grading is outlined with contours in the proposed plan. A poly barrier is also proposed around the SAS to ensure breakout compliance is maintained. The Board of Health has no issues regarding the proposed plan and requested local upgrade approvals and variances. Conservation Commission approval will be required prior to issuance of a disposal works permit.
Thank you. The other thing I guess I would say is, if dewatering is necessary, I would just like to see that done as far away from the river and the wetland as possible.
I
And then,
I believe there's a note on there that says that, right?
yeah. And then I just want to reiterate that, but then, if any sort, I would prefer it further, if it's all done in one day, if there's a pile, it just not sit there for more than a day or two.
Okay.
That seems to be the places where we have the most problems, the dewatering and the piles of soil, and also access access, so in this case, how are they gonna access the septic system?
I don't know that.
Long hoses.
I didn't know, I mean, how are they gonna access to build it?
My guess is they will probably,
Through their neighbors?
no, I don't think that'll happen. I think they're probably gonna have to lose that shed on the kind of northeast of the pool and come in that way.
We took the shed down.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Okay, so it is.
okay.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
good.
So around the north side of the deck and then into the system area.
Okay,
Okay,
I don't have any more concern.
are we ready for a motion?
Just wanna let you know though that, and you, Holly?
I'm her mom, I'm one of the property, we
Okay.
own together.
I just wanna let you know that conservation doesn't sign off on the completion of it until the site is completely stabilized, meaning like, you know, vegetation is growing and all that, so.
Oh, it's a good time of year, though. It's gonna grow quick now.
Yeah, and luckily, right?
Yeah.
But I did speak with, I believe it was your son, and he was in agreement to put some posts and placards and leave a no-touch area against the wetland as a buffer zone to
Yeah.
restore that again.
Yes.
I do have one question.
So he can contact me and I'll have the orders ready as, within 21 days, but hopefully sooner.
Okay, Abel, you have a question?
I just have one question. There's no need for dewatering anything there, is there? Because everything's above the water table.
Well, there's a remove and replace down to 4 feet to get to the sand.
okay. All right.
So depending when they do it, what time of year, there could be some water.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to accept the project and issue an order of conditions?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Dave made the motion, Abel seconded, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lisa.
And next time, just so you know, you can file an RDA for these,
Okay,
for the repairs,
all right.
unless you're crossing the line.
Right.
Next on the agenda is to review, discuss, act on a continued hearing. It's a notice of intent application by Ronald Olivera to upgrade a subsurface sewer disposal system with associated grading at 1030 Oak Street, map 6, lot 27. File number 17-519.
All right, Greg Drake from Outback Engineering, representing Ron Olivera, the applicant. At the last meeting, we reviewed the plan, and the commission asked for a couple of changes. And one of them was to change the erosion control from silt fencing to a silt sock, which we did. And then the other change was to put signs on the 25-foot no-touch. So we have 4 signs that are along 25-foot no-touch.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything was,
If I'm not mistaken, you didn't have a file number then either.
we didn't have a file number either,
So that was
which we
the
have.
real reason why it was continued, because of,
Oh, yeah, because you couldn't close the hearing, correct, that's right.
okay.
We also were dealing with some restoration there, and Abel and I have been to the site a couple times, I don't know, do you have anything? Abel went today, so we might have some things to.
Yeah, a few things. It's pretty much, it hasn't changed a whole lot since we've been there. I saw your silk sock that was put there. It's been ripped open and there's some holes through it. I hope they're gonna do something to repair that.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I know.
something that you guys have been working with the owner, and we
Yeah,
haven't been
yeah.
involved in that
Well, just-
aspect, so, but
I
I'll
just
let
wanna
him
make
know
sure
that you
it's-
need,
it's not
he
in
needs to
place.
fix that. Okay.
Yeah, it's not in place. There's still quite a bit of debris on almost all sides, you know, that needs
I
to be
think he was
picked up.
waiting for this to get the final thing, go in one time and do
Sure.
everything. I think that's his
Sure.
plan.
And he's gonna remove that slab that's out there for the
Yep.
foundation.
Yep, I think,
Okay.
So we can condition it, that needs to be removed and restored? I think, you know, there's a lot of issues with that whole buffer zone, but
There's a fair amount of work to be done there. you know. Other than that, I'm all set.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions here? Anyone in the audience have questions? Okay, let's bring it to a vote, a motion to accept and issue an order of conditions.
Yep, I would
Okay,
I would vote on that, yes.
okay, Abel makes such a motion to issue an order of conditions for the project. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
am I mailing it? Are they picking it up? And Jim, you didn't ask if anybody in the audience.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. Didn't catch that.
I think, have them pick it up,
Okay,
because, yeah, why don't we do that, and then we can tell them it's ready, and they can come and get
I'll
it.
contact
Ron
Ronald.
or Anna, who's also involved, you know.
Okay, great.
Okay, next on the agenda is a review, discuss, act on a continued hearing. It's a notice of intent application by Carl Rebello of Bell Farms Estates LLC at 0 Milk Street and 0 Council Oak Way. Map 17, lots 109, 135, and 208, for the construction of a 26-lot subdivision with associated roadway and infrastructure, Bell Farm Estates. Okay, a portion of the work falls within the jurisdiction of the Wetland Resources. Okay, Lisa, I know you have an update on what happened there.
Yeah, so they did request a continuance, and they provided a check this week, so I've authorized Weston and Sampson to proceed with the peer review, which is Phase B.
Yeah,
And they requested the continuance to our next meeting, which is May
15, I
15th.
believe.
Yep.
Is there a motion to continue the hearing to May 15?
So moved. I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review act and discuss on a new hearing, a request for determination of applicability. This application comes in from Gregory Olson at 1136 Main Street, map 16, lot 8, to construct a 40 by 60 farm storage building along with filling and grading.
Hi, Mr. Olson.
Hello, who are you? Greg Olson, 1136 Main Street. Like Mr. Digit said, I propose on a 40 by 60 farm building.
Okay, yeah,
Let's just, I just want to give the guys a little time to
Sure.
look at this.
yeah. Well, we did see some of it last meeting, and
Did you want to read what you had?
I can, if you want.
I think that would be good.
I'd like to construct a 40 by 60 farm storage building requiring appropriate grading and the addition of approximately 3 foot of fill material needed to level the building footprint. Large trees in the building proximity will be removed. 3 new American chestnut trees will be planted on the site away from the building, but lumen seeding will occur on the northern and eastern slopes. And as far as the farm ditch on the northern property, I spoke with Superintendent Tom Ferry, and he recommended we use either 8-inch minus or 10-inch minus riprap to keep erosion. So that's what I'm going to provide in the ditch and along the northern side. As far as the erosion control, wattle, I've just shown where I was going to put it, and I know I spoke with Lisa about what kind you want. It's got to be installed through the entire project. And after the lumen seed is done, we can remove it. That's pretty much it. It was a,
So I guess I just have a couple questions. So the area where you are going to, the slope where we're not sure if you're going to grow anything there, because it doesn't seem like it would grow.
that's where I was going to put the 8-inch minus or the 10-inch, and that's what Tom said was the best.
How wide is, like, how many feet of that will
Oh, I would say 5 feet tall, and then we put it down the bottom of the ditch, probably another 3 feet, so probably 8 total,
Okay. So, but
for a length of probably,
what kind of slope are you talking? Because if you're talking like 5 feet like this, just so.
no, it's not a vertical slope, no.
Because that would be, the building department needs to approve that, if that was the case, but that's even better. So, if anybody wants to see any photos,
can visualize that.
yeah. Mr. Olson was able,
Tommy's on
Yes,
point.
yes,
Mr. Olson was able to move the, proposed building,
out of the no building zone, the 50 feet, right, correct.
so, that being said, with all those changes, and you're gonna use the compost filter stock.
That's what you wanted, yes, that's what I made notation
So when
of.
you stake it, don't stake right through it, just stake the bottom below, so to hold.
Okay, catch it from the, okay.
Yeah.
And that stays in place throughout the entire operation.
Yeah, just to keep it from rolling.
You guys have any concern?
No, I don't.
I didn't catch, you said the riprap was gonna be how wide again?
I would say at the widest point, 3 feet,
3 feet?
because the existing ditch is approximately 3 feet from the property line. So I was gonna do the entire ditch.
And it sounded like you were gonna use like a number 25, which is like, they say 6 to 12, yeah?
Yeah, 8-inch minus or 10-inch minus, depending on where you get it.
Any other questions?
I think that'll be fine.
When do you propose starting the work?
As soon as possible. The building's on order, so I need to get the site leveled and
Okay.
Okay, any questions from the audience? Okay, is there a motion for a negative determination?
So it'll be,
That would mean that you don't have to do any more with us.
okay.
well, the erosion controls.
Right.
And notification.
Well, but you can still put that on the negative determination.
Right, so, so it'll be a -3.
Okay, all right. Okay, is there a motion for a -3 determination?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on it? Anyone from the audience again? Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you said American chestnut that you were gonna plant.
I believe you spoke with my mother, and yes, you'll be getting me some.
You're supposed to be getting me those just.
Okay, well, I can't remember who's, right. There you go, okay. I was gonna say call Lisa. Okay, I have your number. You were at the garden club then? Okay, 100 are now up. 100 trees have nuts have sprouted, and I'm hoping I get about 250. So I'm hoping that I get 200 that sprout out of all of that. If I get 200, everybody who wants them in town will get them.
Perfect.
But some are this big already, some are small, and some haven't even sprouted. I was up there a couple of days ago at the greenhouse looking. Okay.
I'll be signing off on the building permit next week, just so you know, as soon as you have the, do you have the erosion?
I do not. I'll order that tomorrow.
As soon as those are in, I'll be able to.
You want me to notify you?
Yeah.
I will do that. Thank you very much.
Are you gonna put any fabric underneath that riprap?
You want like the,
Well, I don't know if you need it, I'm just asking if you are.
Filter fabric to hold in the, soil.
Because if you don't put the rock tight enough, you'll need a little fabric under there,
we could do that.
you know.
We can put some fabric.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is to review, discuss, act on a new hearing. It's a notice of intent application by Frank Luongo to construct a driveway to access a single residential home along with a point source discharge from a stormwater basin at 0 Horton Street, map 10, lot 28. No file number as of yet.
Their consultant is not here.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, you're here? Yes. Oh, all right, sounds good.
I do.
Just in the future, we like the larger ones, like
Okay.
those, you know,
Okay.
3 of those.
You, does, you got one?
One of the old ones,
All right, wait, can you look on with, and I'll go over here with Jack. Okay.
I have an extra one.
We're good.
That's fine, you were all over this, right?
Is that the same one? 10:30, yeah. Yeah, it was all out today.
this is Oak Street, isn't it? I've already done that one, Jim.
No, this is,
On Horton Street now.
Did you check to see if you have a
That's the
file
one,
number
that's the
yet?
one we did for Oak.
Last I checked, we didn't.
this,
Yeah.
is,
So I have a couple of questions.
Horton Street.
this is what,
How will the basin be
That's Oak
maintained?
Street.
As you
We
know,
already
it's a
approved
point
that.
source discharge, so we need to
That
make
was,
sure that there's some sort of maintenance to that.
Ronald Olivera,
but Oak is.
Sorry about that.
no.
I believe we
Lisa.
included.
Okay.
Lisa, what, this is, notice of intent here, or?
We have a notice of, so we just did the storage garage, yes, this is a notice of intent from Frank Malone.
Yeah, okay, now the map, okay,
Zero
that's,
Horton.
That's, we've
okay, we
already,
got Oak Street on this map.
we've already approved that, Jim. That's not,
This
that's,
is- So we got the wrong map then,
you got the
evidently.
wrong map.
That's,
I don't have anyone keeping track of all my files, so
okay,
I'll just please,
all right.
That's why I was comparing it to this one.
sorry.
That's 10:30.
Yeah, this is Zenith Consulting. Could you just bring it closer for the guys to see, please? Unless you have another copy?
I don't.
Okay.
Okay, Zero Horton. Okay, Zero, this is,
This is the map 10, lot 29. I
okay,
believe.
whereabouts on Horton is this? We got, we've had about 5 Zero Horton streets with houses without numbers.
To the northwest of Mr. Buffington.
Oh, on the other side of the street.
Towards the high school, yeah.
Okay. On the same side as, no, opposite sides. So it's, okay, all right, okay, I'm there. You all set as far as
Yeah,
location?
yeah, location,
Okay.
yeah.
Will Connolly, Zenith Consulting Engineers. So the existing site is completely wooded with a small wetland to the north. We're proposing a driveway which will be accessing a single-family home. The home and all the utilities associated with it will be outside the buffer. But the work within the buffer will include a driveway, a culvert which will discharge toward the wetland, and a swale which will capture water along the driveway. We're providing a construction entrance as well as silt sock for erosion control. We're also providing some conservation signs along the 25-foot no touch. And yeah, I think that's about it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So it's really only the driveway that is going to be within the 100-foot?
Correct.
Okay, you're not going through the wetlands at all, though, are you?
Nope.
Okay,
So
and
the basin's gonna drain
the driveway,
into the wetland is contiguous to BBW across the street, and it's providing a
Okay.
point source discharge. So,
but he's making a basin to control any runoff.
So it's like a sediment forebay before the culvert, just to control the water and then
Okay.
discharge
All right.
it, so
did you see any comments from DEP on there?
They
not
don't have a
yet.
file number yet.
Right, well, sometimes they do provide comments ahead of time, but, I guess my questions are, the driveway looks really big and, impervious, so is there any way to make part of it impervious? I mean, pervious instead of impervious?
That could be something we could discuss with the client, or we could narrow it, but just given the length of it, we wanted to give it some extra width for emergency access.
How long is the driveway?
I believe it's around like 300 feet or so.
Well, you're gonna have to put up with the fire department with
Yeah,
that one.
did you get approval from the fire department yet?
Not yet.
Do you know
Might,
when?
you might
well-
not be able to cut it down.
Oh, do we have an approval from the fire department?
Why it was the width, if I remember correctly. We're just
Yeah, I
representing
believe.
my dad, so I don't
Okay.
know exactly, but
I'm
Well-
sorry, who is what?
I said we're just here to represent my dad, so I don't know exactly, that's why.
Okay. We don't have a file number, so it would have to, we can't close the hearing. So that means you got time to clear it with them. And if you had to make some changes, I see that you do have a turnaround.
I have some more concerns other than that. I do.
Okay, but, because you do have a turnaround there, it appears, so, but, you know, have it approved through them as well, and,
Oh, yeah, this is what we're talking about, yeah, we're looking at
Couple
that
hundred
right
feet,
now.
the
And
fire department
file
gets
number, I
involved.
do have a file number.
Yeah, so I think they want the 20-foot wide because of that.
Yeah, well, that's, the thing.
They do have a file number, but, we would like the fire department to clear that, because if it's gonna change, we don't want you to have to come back and do this whole thing over
Would you
again.
like me to call him? I can call him.
No, we need something in writing from the fire department. But I think.
what is the number on here? File number? Oh, okay. Oh, 521, okay.
Well, I'm just a little unclear to me about that ditch.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jeff,
well,
I'll
over
make
Jack.
my way down to you.
Now, did you say that this is going to be impervious or it's going to be solid?
It's paved.
It's all paved.
Paved, okay.
And what is the width?
Yeah, so that would give a lot of runoff.
So we did the HydroCAD analysis on all of this to make sure that the runoff isn't,
So 42 is 61.
Okay, your septic is right in the front of the house. No, it's in the, what's,
Septic's in the back.
hey, what's this?
What is this?
That's a system.
I don't know.
Looks like a system.
Caltech, is that a Caltech system in the front? It's not labeled.
yeah, those are roof drains.
For the roof leaders.
Yeah,
And the width of this driveway is
20 feet.
20 feet? Okay, and this is the detention or retention area, okay, for one side to the
Yeah,
other?
that's just giving some storage
Yeah,
volume, just so all that runoff coming down doesn't flood into the street.
Well,
And this is on both, this 4Bay's on 2 lots, that's a little complicated to me too.
So, who is that? Isn't that 4-bay outside of the 100-foot?
Well, part of it, let me see, so but it's providing discharge into the wetland, so that's why I'm questioning who's gonna maintain that, do you have an O&M plan? 'Cause
I think we do on the second sheet,
We
actually.
do.
okay.
So,
If you just pitch the driveway a little bit to one
Almost 20
side,
foot
you wouldn't have a great deal of runoff.
We are.
almost a 20-foot
So
climb
that's-
from, and that's 300 feet.
Yeah, okay, so you wanna say that louder?
Yeah, this is almost,
They do the minutes.
we got 142 to 162, so that's, it's a 20-foot climb.
Driveway's like,
Yep, so what we're doing is we're providing a swale with check dams,
All the way along.
and that'll provide some detention.
Yeah,
To keep that from,
permanent,
from running off,
Yes,
permanent check dams along the driveway. so
and that'll be
there'll
allowed by the
stone.
culvert into the 4-bay.
yeah, either stone or, like,
So
like a
can you
vertical
just
granite curve.
specify exactly what those are gonna be for us?
So I think they're 1.5 feet tall every
Are they
40
on
feet. Yeah, they're shown on there. I think there's a detail on the second sheet.
Sorry. It's tough to only have them on one copy.
So it can either be stone or I think we're showing there like concrete curving or
It's a wet swale. So it's not, I don't think it's stone.
Is this the
Or is that the detention basin?
No, that's the swale along
It's a swale going on the side of the driveway. Yeah, and it's 1 of 3. I don't, how's the check, this is the check dam right here? Okay, so the check dam,
So each one of those will hold some volume.
hold some volume, slow it
Slow
down.
it down, and we did the analysis on it to make sure that runoff isn't greater in posts.
Now, is that entire driveway leaning towards this
Yeah, that's
swale?
about a 2% pitch to the side.
And 20 feet, it's a lot of pavement though. You're still gonna have, in 20 feet, you're still gonna have some runoff on the actual driveway, even with the 2%. I don't think it's gonna be much though.
I believe this is being reviewed by the Board of Health too for stormwater.
Okay.
So we did have to comply with those.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a whole lot, but
So I think from a conservation's perspective, we would like to see, to make sure that the fire department is good with the, length and the setup of
The
the
width,
driveway.
yeah.
Yep. Did
And
it have
turnaround.
the proper turnaround? And then we need to see the Board of Health approval, and then we would need to see, an O and M. Is there an O and M plan for this?
I believe right here is the OM. So that has responsible parties and,
I can't remember that way.
Can't say that.
Can you read it to us? Thank you. Stinks getting old.
it's all right. So it basically says the responsible party, and then the maintenance, so, it goes through chamber fields, water quality swale, so I think the swale is what you were kind of concerned about with the, so it says they'll inspect it after the first few months after construction.
Who's they?
The responsible parties, that would be, Frank Luongo in this case.
The owner?
Yep. Basically saying that there's no rilling, vegetation is adequate, then inspect it twice a year for slope integrity, vegetative health, soil stability, and then just that they have to mow it, make sure that, there's no weeds.
Woody vegetation in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it wouldn't be mowed weekly, it would probably be a couple times a year, that's what it would be. Because you'd want some of the grass to grow there to
It's
slow it down.
Yeah, we have it at least once a year. I think that's pretty typical.
You
I
don't
think
want
that's
it-
in stormwater. So.
You don't want it mowed like every year, is what
Right.
we're saying. I mean, every month. So,
But yeah, that's all spelled out here.
How long is that driveway?
200.
200
It's
feet?
like
300.
so that's
300.
300 by 20.
It's 6,000.
Can I see the first page again, please?
I'm gonna take another. Be a hell of a bobsled.
Oh, he's got plenty in there. There's plenty of check dams.
So each one of these is check dam?
I'm assuming that he's gonna put it in. Each one of these drops is a check dam, or you're just gonna put it,
Those
space
are the
them out?
contours, but you can see the lines across them.
These are the check
Oh, okay,
dams?
right,
Okay,
okay, so you got
1, 2, 3,
And that's gonna slow it
Right.
3, 4, 5.
If you get an inch and a half, that's.
Yep.
You did the calculations to make sure this culvert underneath is going to be sufficient?
Yes.
Okay. And then, the entrance construction, is that a temporary construction access?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that'll be your typical 4-inch thick, 2-inch
Okay.
crushed stone,
All right. And
50 feet long.
Now,
The oth-
is there a pipe going under the driveway front? Okay,
Yeah.
what size is
Yeah.
that?
Is that one
Says 18 inch.
18-inch?
Oh,
Is that 80,
Good
is
size.
that HDPE? Yeah, okay.
did this go before the highway department yet? Because there's a curb cut as well. So it would be fire, board of health, and highway. We need to get comments from all three of them, I think, in order
Okay.
to feel, this is sufficient, unless you guys have anything else.
I don't have anything, I think, we brought up everything that needs to be.
Yeah, it's, as long as the responsible parties, because there may be some adjustments made in the future.
Yeah, I mean, what happens if you get a
Big storm.
big rain event?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, is
So
this,
we modeled it after a 100-year storm, so.
we did,
But
yeah.
we've been getting 100-year storms pretty regularly, that's the,
I
that's the
mean,
concern,
you can just sense that this is gonna be a waterfall
yeah.
down.
Right towards the street, which is
Yeah.
another reason to get the highway department involved.
So it's 300 feet with a
So it's
20-foot.
6,400 square feet of pavement.
No, if I'm not mistaken, the other side of the road just dips right down too.
That's not even 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Goes into a BBW.
Yeah, so that's where that wetland discharges
Yeah.
to, underneath the road.
Is this in an ORW?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah.
Now, does that, is there a culvert under the street there as well, a pipe, okay?
There is, yeah.
You're talking about Horton Street?
Yeah, so, and what,
Is it right here?
because on the other side, on
Oh, yeah,
the,
okay.
east side of the street is, a strong down gradient as well.
Right, oh, yeah, you know, if you're looking at Buffington's property, and if you're just, you know, 3 properties on the other side, I mean, you got a dip on Horton Street right there, right from Buffington's property down.
You know, but
It's
there
just gonna
is
be a
water
running
going through.
rain.
So long as it's slowed down though, so long as
Right,
it's slowed
yeah.
down as they're, offering, it, you know, it
Yeah.
certainly seems like it would work.
Yeah,
Is there any?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
The only other thing would be to,
limited clearing of vegetation too, because if
Yeah.
you clear the whole lot, you're gonna have major problems. You just need, and if you clear the whole lot in front of the house, you're gonna have big problems, but if you just clear the area, so, I mean.
Right, we tried to keep the tree line as tight as possible, but we obviously had to do something with the runoff from the driveway, so that's why that swale takes up quite a bit.
is this property pretty ledgy?
No,
No.
no ledge. Yeah, when we did the perks out there, we didn't really encounter any.
Test holes for the foundation, no?
Well, we did perks right
For the
in here. Yeah, so,
But did you do any for the foundation?
no, but we're pretty confident with the amount of holes we dug out here that
It's
we
pretty good.
wouldn't encounter any ledge. And I think these are basically slab on grade anyway, so.
Oh, she has a question, Jim.
No, just a statement. So a majority of the vegetation and trees are going to be kept in the front. And the driveway width, I believe, and I just confirmed with my dad, originally it was going to be 12 feet wide, but I believe the fire department recommended 25 feet for the width.
Oh, it's 25 and not 20. Is that it?
Is it 20 or 25? But
Well, it
Looks like-
doesn't
looks like-
say.
Yeah, it really doesn't say, he's right.
We can't scale it.
originally we had wanted it 12 feet, but then they.
It was a
recommended that
turnaround issue.
Yes, so that's the reasoning for the driveway width, and then the length, we kept it because of just having privacy and having trees in the front.
It's like a roadway or a highway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as you can imagine,
A lot of roads,
right?
22, 24, 26.
Yeah, but that, we've had this quite a few times, Abel. Anything over 200 feet, the
Yeah.
fire department, there's
Well,
projects all over the
I
place.
can see the reasoning, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they wanna put 12 feet, but they'd say no, so.
No,
You know, it's not up to them. It's a lot more expensive for 20 feet than it is for 12. Well, no, I know, but I mean, you know, they're gonna tell you they want that, and then you gotta have a turnaround,
right.
so that's what it is.
So I guess we just would wanna see something in writing that it is sufficient. Do you have anything from them? No. And
But we can
then
get it in
the
writing.
Board of Health as well, so I think if we just had those things, I don't know, but
I think we're good.
I think, yeah, I mean, you know, the check dams, are those gonna be built first?
Those would be built,
And the basin first, instead of the house, do you know what I mean?
so, yeah, so those would probably be built
They'd
while they're
have-
building the driveway. They'd build the driveway and the swale, and then eventually the house.
Reason why she's saying that is because if you ever got a 100-year storm while this is in progress, this will all wind up right down here in Horton Street. I've seen it many times.
And we need the highway department, so fire, highway, and you're gonna check with the board of health.
Yeah,
Stormwater committee, right?
Yeah.
Cause
This-
this is over 35,000 square
Right.
feet.
This is gonna have to be in place before we,
Square feet?
The disturbance.
You said
Disturb-
35.
It's greater than the threshold, yeah.
No, it's 6,000 square feet is what I,
No, I mean
The
total site
total.
disturbance,
Oh,
clearing.
oh, okay.
Anything cleared over 35,000 has to be reviewed. The stormwater committee reviews it as an advisory role to us,
yeah.
to the planning board, but in this case to us.
Yeah, if you contact them soon, they can get it done to us quickly, and then we can act on everything at one time.
Okay.
You know, rather than saying, come
Sorry to
back, come back,
delay you,
come
we
back.
just wanna make sure it
I don't
kinda
like that,
is.
making people come back, over and over again. It's really a pain.
Yeah.
So if you get everything, in order, you know, we should be set for next, month.
Okay.
Highway department too, Tom Ferry. So the other thing is, if you wanted to have your father contact me, we could talk specifically about what the conditions are gonna require, so he can get prepared for that, cause I think if he knows the conditions are gonna require him to lay out the stormwater first, then he can get ready for that.
only to save trouble, for the owner.
Yeah.
Because you never know what the weather's gonna bring. We're going into a wet season, before the summer, and, you could very well get a real rain.
Gully washer.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen it many times. I've had it happen to me, so.
He's in the construction business.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
Sorry to
All right,
hold you
so,
up.
we'll have to continue this until, May 15th.
Motion to continue to May 15th.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so hopefully next, May 15th, everything will be squared away, ready to go.
All right, thank you all.
I just need a continuance, form signed, please. If you don't mind.
I think you heard you.
Hang on, Bob, I gotta pass. I just wanted to say.
Okay, next on the agenda is to review, discuss, and act on a new hearing. It's a notice of intent application by, from TNA Realty Trust, Antonio Almeida, trustee to construct a roadway, stormwater infiltration basin, associated grading and utilities at 0 William Street, map 21, lot 50, lot 20. A portion of the work falls within the buffer zone to the BVW. Do you have a file number? We don't have one yet for you. Okay. Okay. Okay, now we're talking 0 Williams. Is this way to the south near Jimmy Sousa's property?
I don't know where Jimmy Sue's property is, but
Down by Old Horton Street, just before the curve,
It's-
Old Horton on the right.
yeah,
Okay,
sure.
We already did the ENRAD form.
okay, so it's the farmland that goes, it grades up,
Yes,
okay?
Yes. Okay, ready?
Okay,
Well, for the record, my name's Bob Rigo. I'm with Riverhawk Environmental with the
Bob
Rigo, R-E-G-O.
Rigo,
Yep.
okay.
We're the civil engineers for the project. And as Lisa said, we did file an ANRAD for the project. And there's a few wetland resource areas which were all delineated and approved through the ORAD process. There's also 2 potential vernal pools which we're treating as if they are vernal pools. And what we're proposing is a 17-lot subdivision. This is just an overall plan of it. I think the house you maybe were talking about is here, kind of wraps around. there's a ridge which runs through the property. So this, tonight, I'm here only for the road construction only and this associated stormwater, controls. There's, a wetland resource area to the north, and then there's two wetland resource areas on the southern portion of the property. We're proposing 2 stormwater basins, within a 100-foot buffer to those wetland resource areas. So let's see. The first one is over here by the entrance, and I'm gonna put up like a zoomed up, view of that. So that's, this basin right here, and it is within the 100-foot buffer. The grading's within the 50-foot, and we're stayed out of the 25-foot, no touch. Along this small of a wetland area, connects, via culvert to a larger wetland resource that's on the opposite side of William Street.
Is that currently farmed? Is that cleared land already?
No, the cleared.
No, I'm talking about where the detention basin
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it currently, no, I don't think it exists, let me see. Yeah, so that actually exists in an area that's tree, so the tree line is here, I don't know if you can see it, so
Yeah.
the existing house is here on this property, and then it is within a tree portion. That
Okay, all right. No, I just,
is in
okay.
a forested area.
because I know there's a lot of farmland, but I guess the farmland is to the,
To
the other side.
South of that,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So we're proposing that basin, it's, the reason why we're proposing that basin here and the location for it is because it's the lower point of the site. So we are picking up runoff from about this portion of the roadway that we have to deal with, and it's because of gravity, that's kind of the one spot that we can use to get. We did try to,
That's pretty much the lowest spot.
it is,
Right?
this is the lowest spot right here, so that's, yes, that's the lowest spot, the wetland is the lowest spot. So what we've done is, we're trying to catch that runoff, or most of that runoff, and put it in a basin prior to the discharge. So that's an infiltration basin, we did some test pits, we know we have separation from groundwater, and we are discharging at a distance, 25 feet away from the wetland resource area. There's also the highway department commented, they had concerns, there's kind of water that comes from this area off-site and finds its way down into this wetland resource area, so we are proposing a culvert across the road to pick that up and kind of maintain that flow across the road. So that's.
So you have what, piping under the roadway?
Yes, we do.
And what size is that?
That pipe is a 12-inch ductile iron culvert. And we are kind of limited again because of elevation. We're not trying to raise up the road grade too much and try to keep everything where we are. But that does carry what would be a 50-year storm. We modeled that culvert to make sure we can handle what comes from over here during a 50-year storm, which is the typical design criteria for culvert, and make sure we can handle that. So that's one basin. We're proposing, within the subdivision, we're proposing a second basin, and this basin, just to give you an overview, again, this occurs on the other side of that, existing developed property, east of that, no, I'm sorry, south of that. And this is in an area that's currently open and has historically been farmed. So I'll bring up, where is that? And this is just, to show a larger scale of it. We're again proposing a basin, portions of the basin in a 100-foot buffer. With this one, we've kept all the grading outside of the 50-foot, and we've kept our discharge location around 100 feet away. So that's this particular, this basin, most of the work is outside of that 50-foot buffer to the wetlands.
Okay, the red line is 50 foot?
The red line's 25, the blue line is 50. You can see we have some.
Okay, all right.
Grading just touching
Okay.
the wetlands away. But our emergency spillway, our discharge location, are all outside of that, 50-foot. A large portion of the basin is outside of the 100, but some is definitely within the 50 to 100 feet. And again, that's to collect runoff from portions of the roadway, and that is just at a lower elevation, it allows us to get the water to.
Okay, you said you had an emergency spillway going out of there. Will that affect the house that exists there now?
No, the house that's there, those are here, I believe that's the house, there's some outbuildings, farm buildings back here, but they're off, they're cross grading and certainly not. And that emergency spillway will never see water. That's above, maybe if we get the storms like Lisa's talking about, but that's above the 100-year flood. So
Okay.
we designed this basin to kind of capture that waters during and up to the 100-year flood, discharge a little bit of that water out over time, but it never sees that emergency spillway.
Okay.
And again,
Now,
it's really.
What I'm looking at there, you have a lot of squares there. Are those proposed dwellings?
These are all proposed dwellings, this is
And,
proposed.
okay,
sheds.
so those are completely outside of even the 100-foot buffer zone.
They're outside of
And on the other side is, as well, there's one that looks pretty close to the buffer zone, but,
Right, but again, this is for roadway construction,
Yeah.
the purpose of showing these houses, so we can learn how it's
Yeah.
gonna be graded and what will happen for stormwater calculations, that's really all. So we've been in front of the planning board twice, with a definitive subdivision, looking for approval for the 17 lots. And again, it's only for the road and the stormwater controls. If we do have a house that comes and it's gonna be close to or within a 100-foot buffer, we'll come back in
Yeah.
front of you and file a separate notice of intent for that house.
okay.
I have a question. Right in the beginning, you were talking about a DI pipe for the flow underneath the road
Yep,
as a culvert, and you said it was 12-inch?
yes,
Is there and you said that was a 50-year storm?
yes.
Would it cover a 100-year storm if you put two 12-inch ones side by side?
Maybe possibly.
Because you're kind of, you can't really increase the diameter of the pipe, right?
No, that is an issue.
Yeah, so that's why you use a
And
12-inch
when you
DI.
design, as an engineer, and you design, so when we design the pipes in the subdivision, the conveyance pipes, you go from manhole through a pipe, you don't design those for a 100-year storm. Those are designed typically.
No, I understand
Older
that.
days was 10-year storms. Modern stuff is 25. The Dayton Planning Board regulations only require you to design to convey a 10-year storm.
No, I understand that. What I thought you said was, there's a lot of flow and accumulation uphill from that, in the neighboring lots, and you didn't want to restrict it. So, I'm not talking about the stormwater from the road. I know what that's designed for. But I don't know how many acres are being diverted to that locale.
What's the watershed of it, yeah?
No, I don't have that. We did
Oh.
design it
Yeah.
using, HydroCAD in order to design that and size that culvert.
Did you fly over, or did you just shoot it?
Well, how do we establish what the
Yeah.
topography? We use LiDAR topography
LiDAR,
available from NOAA, which we found it to be super accurate. So I'm very confident in that in terms of what drains to it, and in terms of the calculations for it. And again, when you design a culvert, that's the typical design, is the 50-year design storm is what you design the conveyance for, is the 50 years. So that's what we did do. We could expand it. if we
Well, I'm not saying you have to. All I'm saying is, would it be worth it, seeing it,
Yeah,
it's
no,
the
I
sake
understand.
of one more pipe,
Well, I mean, the problem is if it doesn't convey the beyond 50-year storm, right? It would
It'll back up anyhow.
right? Because this you can see, you can count the grade lines. I don't know the elevation.
I can't see it,
But those that go up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 feet before you get there's 9 feet of elevation difference before you get to the thing. So that puts you way up here on the road, so water is gonna go over here,
It's gonna just,
far before it's gonna
it'll go right over the top.
or it's gonna go over the roadway this way.
Okay. I can't see all that from
Yeah,
here.
yeah, no, that's okay, and I don't know, it's far away.
I follow you.
So, no, this road has no curb on it, no Cape
No,
Cod
this-
berm or
this-
anything?
This road does, it's a, whatever the standards require to get, I think it's 26 feet wide.
Yep.
And there's Cape Cod berm on each side of it.
On both sides?
And there is.
No sidewalk, or-
There is a sidewalk on one side, yes. Yep. So it's a Cape Cod berm, it's your typical drainage where we have, manholes spaced along the roadway, conveyed through pipes to those two basins there.
Okay. Jack, any questions? Dave? Dave, were you all set?
I'm good, yeah.
Okay,
So most of the sites outside the flood zone, it's all out of natural heritage. It's not an ACEC or an ORW.
Correct.
That's great.
And just one other note, we've been in front of the planning board twice, and Weston and Sampson's done 2 very thorough reviews so far, so that all the stormwater's been reviewed and evaluated by a peer reviewer.
So we did get a proposal from them because we need to as part of none of us are engineers. So we do have a proposal it's a concurrent type of review.
It seems excessive to me, but I'm just saying that out loud, because they get paid a lot of money to do those reviews.
Yeah,
And
we don't have a town engineer.
I understand, but they did a complete review for the planning board, and they charged over $20,000 to do it.
We're doing it for all the
But wouldn't that be the basis that if you make us use one consultant, shouldn't
You
that
can
consultant?
definitely state it for the record.
Yeah, I'm stating for the record, I mean, the town requires, we can only use one consultant, Weston and Sampson.
Right, we have a contract with them. The
I
town.
understand, but we have no other opportunity, because
Yeah.
whatever cost they say, the applicant has to pay. Which in my opinion is excessive. And to charge a concurrent review, to review the same material, the same drainage report, and the same stuff, with the same storm water management standards, to me seems excessive. That's just what, thanks.
Yeah,
Now,
you're welcome to bring it up to the
is-
selectmen too, but
are they doing a,
the selectmen, the board of selectmen.
I know.
is the peer review that's being done now include the stormwater runoff?
Yes, it does.
Well,
I mean, if they're doing that, why don't we just get a copy of their report?
Because we're not doing it for conservation purposes.
But it's gonna be, isn't it gonna be the same, if, the stormwater is not, the figures aren't gonna change?
Yes. What do I'm meeting the Mass DEP solar management standards.
Well, why don't we contact them?
Okay, well, we're gonna, you don't have a file number, right?
I do not.
So it's gonna be continued
So what it
anywhere.
is review of revised stormwater material sent by the applicant, preparation of a memo and attendance at meeting.
But why would they have to attend a meeting to tell us that everything's okay? It just seems excessive to me.
So our comments will be provided in the form of a brief peer review memo. We propose that our review will be limited to the conformity of state and local bylaw NOI requirements. So the thing is, they're not looking at Conservation Commission bylaw when they're looking at the planning board's materials. They're looking at the planning board's. That's the difference. That's the difference.
How about if you give them a call and ask if what they're doing is sufficient for us as well? And,
Well, I'd have to do an email. I wouldn't do that in a call.
no, I understand what he's,
I don't feel comfortable us conditioning a subdivision without someone's peer review.
what is it really, it's gonna deal only though with those 2 basins.
Correct, but we've done that in the past, and those are the subdivisions that are a real mess. I'm just reminding you. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're gonna
They've done
decide.
$20,000 worth of review.
It's not me, I'm just a messenger.
Well, you are, but you're pushing the message that they have to review it.
I have to. I'm required to. That is how town
No,
process.
there's nowhere in the Wetlands Protection Act or in the town local bylaw that says you have to have a peer review something twice. Again.
But it would
Mr.
set
Chairman, we
precedent,
ask,
it would set precedent, if we didn't go to Weston and Sampson for a peer review for this, Jim, then all the other subdivisions would push the same thing, so I don't even wanna go there.
Okay, could you just text them, email, or whatever you do, and ask if their work covers what we need here?
It doesn't.
And if not, what the fee would be? What the fee would be to do our small segment, which is, because they should have all the figures, whether it's, I don't know, maybe it's only gonna be 500. See, because all this, I mean, when I was younger, 500 was 2 months' pay.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, but I believe if we ask Weston and Sampson, do they think they need to review something and charge a fee? My assumption is they can say, oh, of course we have to review it, but thank you very much for your.
Okay, input from you guys.
I mean, if they're reviewing it, all they gotta do is maybe look on the other side of the page.
It's not that simple, though.
Why isn't it, Lisa? They're doing wetlands
The
for the
storm,
stormwater,
Yeah.
correct?
stormwater, but not for our bylaw. So they're going to help
Well,
us.
maybe we ought to incorporate some of this, maybe to help some of the people out. You know, I mean, I can see their point. You know, if you don't want them, if you don't want subdivisions in town, don't waste their time. Tell them to their face, we don't want you, and then come up with an excuse. But no, I mean, yeah, you got whatever, and they're looking at runoff from stormwater. Well, it's going to the same place that it'd be conservation. So, I know they're in it to make money, that's why everybody's in business,
You
but,
know why we signed on with a peer review consultant though, right? Because of all the problems we've had over the years in this town with.
it's because we've had all kinds of consultants. This one doesn't want this one, that one doesn't want that one, this one's looking at this, but they don't wanna work for this guy. You've got one consultant, you tell them they gotta use them. Maybe you ought to consolidate it for some of these people. Either that or tell them, no.
Okay,
The contract is there, I am just.
I'm not saying you, but
Okay.
let's bring it up
Okay.
next door.
Abel has something to say.
Well, I think we ought to take this under advisement for right now and discuss this in closed session. I have to agree with both of you for different reasons. And I think we ought to look into this a little bit closer.
is it something that we have to do
Yeah,
in
but all
closed
of this-
session?
all of this,
Can we
Abel-
discuss it just right here?
It all comes down through.
Well,
This one bypasses
we
this,
have to research
that
it.
one bypasses that, and no one has a mess, and nobody's done anything, they want conservation to straighten it out. If it doesn't do anything with water, it's not up to us. Lot size, elevations, any of that. You know what I mean? So if they're looking at water for the stormwater, it's the same water that's gonna be running into the conservation.
No, I understand, and I agree with you. It's just from a standpoint of protecting the commission, I don't think we ought to put excessive burden on the individual bringing it before us, but at the same time, we have to be sure, we need another mechanism to be
Well, maybe we
sure.
ought to discuss it next door,
Yeah,
because it is putting a burden on some of these people.
yeah, I agree about the burden.
Yeah, they're the ones that say one consultant.
Okay,
So
Lisa.
water's water, and it runs downhill.
my initial thoughts were to contact them and ask them if this is going to, what they're doing for the planning board, is that going to be sufficient to cover our bylaw?
Okay, I'll loop in the town administrator at the same time, too. Okay?
All right? Okay, and so I think that, you know, because I see it always too, and this is why I'm looking at, if they're doing all this work, we got 2 detention basins, and
Well,
that's,
yeah, so in this case, this was an ANRAD that was filed, right? So what we previously reviewed and approved it. They were able to design it and keep, you know, a good chunk of the project outside, which is
Yep.
great. This is not your typical subdivision, so this is why we've been going through the process, because we typically don't get subdivisions like this. Obviously, the process is working, we're working with the other departments, because
okay,
in the
but,
past, we wouldn't have seen a subdivision that.
no, but all we're saying is what they're doing for the planning board, is it sufficient to cover our needs? And this is something that,
We'll ask the questions.
there's I think that's the question for them.
Okay.
Is it sufficient to cover our bylaw? I mean, it certainly shouldn't take them more than a half hour to figure that out.
It may already be figured out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because I'm sure they had to take that into consideration.
I
I
appreciate
know,
it.
and I don't
we're-
wanna
we're
go
taking your
against.
I know,
thoughts
I-
in
I-
consideration.
But I understand what Lucy's
Okay, all right, you can see where our feelings on this. So, we're gonna have to continue this anyway, because you don't have a file number. So, let us say that sometime next week, Lisa will contact you, and she'll be in contact with the town administrator, with Weston and Sampson, and she'll get back to you. And if there is something that has to be done through them, she'll let you know what it would cost.
Fantastic.
But, you know, you can see where we're trying to keep your costs moderate too.
Understand. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Um,
Anyone else have any questions?
Okay, you're going to have to sign something for Lisa to continue.
But I'll bring it up my hand. It's my shoulder, that's all.
Okay,
I have one of those too.
is there a motion, is there a motion to continue to May 15th?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bob.
May 15th, okay. Okay, next on the agenda is an enforcement order at 2371 County Street.
I need to continue.
How do I follow that?
You have submitted a plan, a revised plan.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, where'd Lisa go? Oh, okay. All right,
Oh, good, you got it?
I go, 4 copies.
okay.
couldn't handle it.
You lopsided since the one you sent to me that. This is the one you sent to me.
Oh, was there missing the date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we talked about is settled, Lisa?
That whole line was missing?
Date, okay.
It was on there. You just got a squeaky printer.
Okay, April 2nd.
Good job, thank you.
Okay, so, wait a minute, this says 4/2/24? This plan says 4/2/24.
No, the revised, you gotta go to the revision block.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That's okay, that's an easy mistake, we all do it.
you might wanna look at the second page, cause that has most of the details of what we
Okay.
discussed.
All right.
the only thing we need to fill in is the final date of the plan.
Right,
assuming
that's
you
up on
guys-
the top side, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we did, so as far as DEP conditions, John will deliver the revised plan by March 31st, he did do that. We'll review it, at our April 17th meeting, that's what we're doing now. And then implementation work begins within 2 weeks of the final plan, so mid-April. Are you prepared to do that, Mr. Enos? Are you prepared to start the job?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
implementation.
we're just waiting for the rain to stop.
Actually, the rains we've been getting are very light. It's been crummy weather and windy, but we haven't gotten much rain.
No, yeah, it just makes the work just
Raw.
sloppy, and because of the slope and everything, you're gonna slide and everything else down there. Because we just finished putting in a foundation for another project, and we'd go out there, we'd compact it, then would rain and come up the next day, and it's all,
Muck.
yeah, it's a mess.
Do you have erosion controls out there?
The erosion controls are not in yet, no. So we're gonna have to place those in. That's gonna be the
Okay.
first step.
So, you are proposing to start, within 2 weeks of today? Is that
Yeah,
what it is?
as long as the weather holds out, we should be able to start in about 2 weeks, yes.
Okay.
I think Mr. Enos has a question, and,
Hey, Mr. Enos?
You apparently are doing something about the block up down below that's causing the whole problem with the water buildup on my property.
we're gonna talk.
Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I'm sorry, I'm missing something there.
The property down below me that's causing the block up.
Okay, that's near
Yeah. You served-
Hot Street.
You served Pleasant Street, but you only served half of the owners of that property. What about the people who own the other half?
I think he's referring to.
On County Street.
So that's actually on the agenda, 2470 is on, Pleasant is on the agenda. Are you saying there's a property line that goes right through that?
Of course, the property line goes down through the center of the railroad bed.
See, unless I see a survey, I don't know that, and that's what we've been asking Mr. Vaught to provide us with, a survey with a restoration plan.
You don't look on a map and see who owns the property?
How am I gonna know when I'm standing up?
Right at the town hall.
Those
No,
maps-
just for clarification, the town maps, so everybody knows, are just a general observation. They are not survey plans. Trust me, we run into this all the time. Whenever you see those maps, it just gives you a basic outline what may be the property line, but
Yes,
it's
yeah,
not.
yes, wetlands.
Yeah, it's not an accurate
There's two owners
survey.
there. Pleasant Street and
Okay.
County Street.
I will contact the other one, but, we do have the other 2470 on the agenda as well. They've received 2 more letters this year, so we're gonna discuss that very soon.
At the site visit, the state told me, if that water drains off and that vegetation dies, it's no longer wetland. I get the engineer to come back and prove that. And it doesn't, he says it comes off the wetland. Things change, he says.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do change, but, I mean, right now, we have a wetland operation, so. Are we?
I'm telling you what the state told me at the site. He told me that at the site. You brought the state in, the state engineer or whoever he is said, if that property dries up and the vegetation dies, all I have to do is have the engineer come in and prove that it's not wetland anymore, and that the wetland doesn't exist anymore. He says things change.
But it exists right now as when we are looking
Yeah,
at.
until the water gets out of there. Yeah, once the water gets out of there, that vegetation will die.
We didn't just spend the past 3 or 4 years dealing with this for no
I
reason.
didn't plan to spend over $40,000 either. Lady. Yeah.
Excuse me, you don't need to speak to me that way.
Well, I don't have much respect for you, that's for sure.
Great.
So, moving on to other matters.
That was uncalled for.
That's how I feel, all right?
I'm an agent of the
I
town.
don't care who you are.
Okay, sir,
I'm a 100% disabled veteran that's going through health A lot of health problems because of this whole freaking thing.
First of all, as of now, it is wetlands, and the wetlands have been
I'll
infringed
just tell you
upon.
what the state guy told me.
That's okay,
He was
yes,
standing right there when he was talking to me.
yes, hey, but it is wetlands. And if something happens, but as of right now, we're treating it as a wetland under our jurisdiction, and so the state is as well. So I would like you to continue, please, and,
I have my say.
Okay, so the plans were revised according to the meeting that we had on site, that everybody was there, and also the previous hearings and the memos that were made. The big thing on the plan is on the first note up on the top is it has a 2-year window for the completion date, and we got a handwrite on there the date of the approval of the plan, and then 2 years from there will be the exit portion of it for the mitigation.
okay, and the date on the plan is the,
So the date on the plan is
March
March
28th.
28th, yes.
okay?
So 2 years from there,
March 27th of,
March 28th of 2027.
27, yeah, 27, okay.
Yep.
That's completion of the project. So, John, can you just reiterate that this is gonna try to be done within like a growing season, or are you gonna?
Yeah, so-
It's gonna be dragged out 2 years.
Oh, no, I would like for this to be completed within one growing season. So that way the vegetation gets established.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've gone through all this, Lisa?
Yeah, that's good. I hope it gets implemented. By the sounds of it, I'm not really sure, so.
Okay, just, all right, do we have any comments from anyone about the plan?
I don't have
Okay, anyone in the audience? Shall we take a vote on accepting the plan for restoration? Is there a motion to accept the plan for restoration?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Any discussion here? Anyone in the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John, I'll notify DEP Tuesday, Monday's a holiday.
Yeah.
Town hall isn't open on Friday, so.
No, that's fine.
Can you, and we'll send you conditions, I mean, basically,
Yeah, it's basically all on the plan, but yeah, you can email me those, yeah.
you know,
And then, once we actually start, I'll email the board, so that way everybody knows when it's going, and then as it's going, we'll end up doing some
Yeah,
progress
nothing gets done
reports.
twice, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
One of us will go out.
thanks, John.
all right, thank you, have fun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good holiday.
Okay, we're all set. Okay, next on the agenda is 2470 Pleasant Street. Lisa, 2470 Pleasant Street.
Yeah, let's look at that right now. So, as you recall, a letter went out, to
Yep.
in the fall.
Yeah.
And they were looking for a consultant, so we sent the letter out the end of the year. But then we just sent a follow-up on April 10th. So we are following up on a violation on your property at 2470 Pleasant Street, map 20 lot 55 of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Dayton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. At our previous meetings, Dayton Conservation Commission discussed your matter and do wish to take further action unless necessary. However, we await a wetland mitigation plan, so we ask that they please email us and we attached a schedule of meetings. So now at this point, we haven't heard back. It
You
was
haven't heard
sent,
from them.
It was sent certified.
And they signed for it.
We didn't get the green card yet, but that's not uncommon in this town. It seems like the green card might have went upstairs. This is the old-
Is this something that we should send a constable?
Yeah, I think so. Wouldn't hurt.
And this time we should say that at our May meeting, a fine will be imposed, starting, if they do not reply. Well, first of all, we have to take a vote on that, but these are my thoughts anyway, that if we do not have a positive reaction to mitigate the wetland violation, the commission will be forced to take financial action.
Issue fines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I just spoke my piece. What is it with you people?
I agree with you 100%.
Jack?
Yeah, no,
Because this, they've just been ignoring it. And I think if we send it with a constable rather than certified mail, it's going to carry weight. But they initially said that they were going to get someone to clean the property, to do that.
So the fill they need to remove and mitigate for that.
Yeah.
If they're gonna leave any of the fill, they have to mitigate for that. It's important to note there's still flow that's running through that area. It's not completely impounded, but there is some.
Okay, well, list the problem and say we are looking for a mitigation solution to the problem, and if one is not forthcoming, our bylaws will be enacted to set fines, daily fines, and that you can give them that section of the bylaw in writing. And I think constable delivering it would be quite,
Finite.
yeah, it would get responsive. Okay,
I agree.
so now I said my piece is, would someone like to make a motion to send such a letter?
Motion to send constable letter to 2470 Pleasant Street.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is 710 Center Street, map 9, lot 154. It's a violation of cutting on conservation restricted land.
Yeah, he like fell off the face of the
Yeah,
earth.
well, he did come in. He came in at our
Last meeting.
last meeting, March meeting. So I do have his phone number now. Now that it's the growing season, I can work with him to figure out what exactly we're gonna do for trees. I just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
So it's actually on me. I'm not as concerned about him
No,
because
because
I
he
think
was on board with everything that we were talking
yeah,
about.
he's the other end of the spectrum than the one
Yep.
just dealing with.
For
so.
sure.
Okay. Pleasant, Center Street? Center
That
Street?
is Center Street.
That's the one we just talking about.
That's the one we just did.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. 880 Hart Street.
Yeah, so let me just read you, we had the site visit, so let me just pull that out.
Okay, the May meeting.
Making progress getting some of these off the agenda, after the report back. So they withdrew the RDA application after a site visit because we determined that they could put the cows in the backyard and they didn't need the fence in the wetlands. And DEP email came. So what was determined was that the timeline recap is John will deliver a revised plan by April 30th. The revised plan will undergo review at the May Conservation Commission hearing, and implementation or work will begin within 2 weeks of the final plan approval.
Okay, so,
Well, they didn't have to come to this meeting, so we don't have really anything to discuss today.
okay. 1070 Smith Street?
They are in the process of reviewing the vernal pool. They have the wetland scientists looking at the 2 potential vernal pools now that it's vernal pool season. And Zenith is preparing a plan for what they want to do in the backyard.
Okay. 1030 Oak Street.
That one was reviewed tonight under the NOI for the septic. So that one's gonna come off the agenda.
Okay,
And we're gonna work with them through the order of conditions.
okay. 2134 Horton?
Yep.
Oh.
Great, thank you. I know
Thank you.
emailed it to you guys, but here's a color copy here.
No.
Looks pretty good. So basically, they're gonna, do you wanna present it, or do you want to present it?
The agent,
Wait,
I'm sorry, just a, yeah, this is.
yeah, do this and
We'll do this and
then
we'll
I'll talk to you,
Thank
yeah.
the woman that, I'm sorry, that does the minutes, she won't be able to hear us if we're all kind of talking at the same time. But, so, the wetland scientist, who's Stephen Schmale, came out and determined that, there's an approximate 25 by 35 square foot area, about 875 square feet of wetland impact. So all the activity, he's prepared the wetland restoration plan. 875 feet will be restored. Buffer zone impacts are approximately 150 square feet, and buffer zone restoration will be 150 square feet. Instead of providing a survey plan, it was a cheaper route to have Stephen prepare this. As far as we know, no trees, the trees that fell on the house before you
Before
owned it.
we bought the house, yes, trees fell, and there was a claim submitted into the insurance company. That's how we found out, so there were several trees, not just one tree from what Lisa, was assuming, I think. So there were several trees, so I don't think we should be responsible to replacing those trees and going with, Stephen's, plan.
Okay, do you wanna read off the?
You want me to read everyone?
restoration notes?
me, can you take the podium, please?
Oh, yeah,
yes.
for us.
Sorry.
All right, so the restoration plan, number 1 will be all site activity is to be completed under the supervision of a wetland professional. 2 would be no site activity will commence until the necessary erosion controls are on site and available for installation. 3, wetland restorations activities will consist of the removal of wood chips material via hand and mechanized equipment, as well as grading of reshore wetland and wetland buffer zone locations to pre-existing contours and elevations. 4, activities will be conducted in a uniform fashion such that work will be completed, stabilized as cleanup and restoration progresses. 5, wood chip fill would be excavated down to the original organic topsoil horizon, and all the stumps and rocks that are native to the restoration area will remain in place. 6, the buffer zone surface locations impacted by the removal of wood chips will be graded to match unaffected contours. 7, the restoration area will be seeded with New England wet mix or similar at an application rate of 1 pound by 2,500 square feet, and upland locations will be seeded with the New England erosion control mix or similar at an application rate of 1 pound, 1,250 square foot. 8, wetland and upland surface locations distributed by restoration operations will be covered with straw mulch following seeding, and the Dayton Conservation Agent will be contacted for a final site review. That's the plan.
Okay, so this looks like it's well under the way to getting done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
I
okay.
don't think they need erosion controls there because I don't think they're gonna go down. As long as he's there, they're not gonna really go down, but what do you guys think? They probably won't.
They're just gonna take wood chips out and
Taking the
plant,
wood chips off
and,
the top, so.
and let it regrow, sort of, naturally.
The seed mix too, Jim. They're gonna plant the wetland seed mix.
Yeah,
So that's sufficient if they ask to, no, be wasting.
okay, we're all set then?
Just make sure Steven's, providing us with updates, because sometimes we get calls from neighbors or whatever, and we wanna know, make sure we know how to respond, and
So long
I
as
can
it doesn't
send you-
say 0 Horton Street. 'Cause-
He's got a front door, so he's all
Yeah.
set. What they wait for is a front door.
No, I know.
yeah, so what about the shed though?
I can't use
That's
the
out of
shed no
picture.
more.
Cause his job.
I lost my job on
Yeah.
that. So they gave it to another guy because where I live now in Horton Street, where we used to live in Seekonk, it was only like 10 minutes. So they call me on a daily basis because I'm like an emergency. I'm out of local 4, by the way, so you're 271. So I'm in a tie-in crew. So what I do is I do emergency services, gas, water, power lines and stuff like that. We get called and we get the text message between 5 and 5:15 from the office at Forever Construction. So we have to get a certain time, within 45 minutes, get there, establish, get your stuff ready, get your crew ready, and then perform your work. Got to be there within a certain limit time. Because of the due time, because when I moved here to Dayton, I was lagging behind because I had the Connex boxes out of Distinctive, which I got to tell you later what I want to talk to you about that in a minute. So what happened was they gave my bid to somebody else. They transferred me to Lawrence, Mass, which I lost $10 per hour because it's a flourishing difference because they only cut me as a fuser. Now, you're in the construction business, you know what fusing is, right? Okay, so we're taking out the Driscoll Plex and we're taking out Adelaide and we're just putting it now with the gas main. Because of the traveling, I I just resigned from the company. That's why I need to talk to you about, they said something about, the hell they call that? A withdrawal from the local 4 and see if I can get transferred to 610 or something like that. So I don't know who to talk to. That's what I would need help
I'll
with.
tell you, every Monday, the business agents over in the industrial park.
The
for
BA?
this area.
Is he? Is he from Dayton?
No.
Not
he's
Jeff
from,
Pacheco.
he's from Westwood. He comes over to the industrial park every Monday.
So,
We'll be there,
yeah.
this
Okay.
Monday, it's a holiday.
All right.
So the
Are we
conclusion of-
set, are we set on the wetland area, so, and if you wanna
Yeah, no, it's,
continue later?
Yeah, so the conclusion of everything is that because of that, I don't need the shed now at this point.
Oh, boy, okay.
Well, if you ever do, now you know that.
No, not this time. Now I'm with Distinctive, I'll be a truck driver, so.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, we're all set then, as far as,
Yeah,
okay,
I think it looks good, it just requires the monitoring with Steven
Yeah.
and
okay,
work
all right.
that out.
And I'll shoot.
I guess you're
emails.
good to go then.
Great, it'll get done probably in a day, I think.
Yes, supposedly Bob said that he can get it done in a day.
Okay, oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, let's go next then. 260 Country Hill Drive.
No, but I know where you live, I'll stop up there and talk to you.
All right, Jack, I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank you.
okay.
Take care, bud.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry for the hassle. Hi there.
Okay, Lisa. 260 Country Hill.
Yeah, so when I was out with my husband's hip replacement, I got an email, and when I returned, I followed up. The neighbor complained over here at 260 Country Hill, the neighbor complained about some wetland violation. When I looked into the site, I realized that there was a building permit, or two building permits that were actually pulled for this property, 260. One was a deck, and then one was a cabana. And I did sign off on those because it was my understanding that that work would be well outside of any conservation jurisdiction, so outside the 100-foot buffer zone. There's no other jurisdictional area, not like a flood zone or a riverfront, no rare species issues.
So where is the problem?
But, so looks like the contractor had to do some grading, and I think, what did you say, one tree removal, Rebecca?
We had one tree removed, yes.
Yeah. So what happened was, I have photos if you guys wanna see, but there's a slope in the back. Do you have any photos with you? No?
Not of the back of the slope, no.
Yeah. So I believe that some of the work in the back of the property is in the 100-foot buffer zone with a pretty decent sized slope. I would say maybe 3 to 4 foot slope.
That was filled?
But in speaking of the owner of the property that has the wetland, which I believe you're the owner.
Right here.
Yeah. So.
How you doing, sir?
What this wetland is a natural underground spring and waterway, which starts here, floods up, and it goes down towards 138. Used to pass in between Bill Costa's house, I don't know if anybody's here from Dayton, but it used to go down and out towards the river. Now, when they put Country Hill Estates in, 35 years ago, there used to be a stone wall. Well, unfortunately, they took down a 1,900 feet of stone wall, which allowed the contractors to re-slope the land that abuts us, because I abut the whole lane of Country Hill. Now, when they did this, the bulldozers came in. Now, when I was a kid, I was raised in it. The land's been in our family for over 100 years. There was a little bit of water, yes, but not the amount of water we have now since they did Country Hill Estates, because they, first of all, broke a federal law by taking down a stone wall, I do believe, and then they were able to re-slope it. Now, there's that underground spring area that I'm talking about, has been there for hundreds of years. You have to see this area to know what I'm talking about, because at one time it was a river that used to flow, the Taunton River. It must have came up and down, so you can see how the land was shaped and everything, how the water used to flow out. But now, since Country Hill Estates did all this, we have so much more water. Now, it hasn't been as rainy as it has been in the past few years, which is a good time where I wish you guys would just come out and take a look at what I'm up against. Because I don't mind them having a pool or anything, but when you re-slope that land, you're taking away, think about all the chemicals that could come from your pool, soaps and everything else. Doesn't have a chance to filter in through the ground before it gets to this natural spring area, which, mind you, I have a deer pod. I have 8 does to 9 does in a buck that floats around. Now, in the past 5 years, this population has grown up. All right, it's gone from like 3, 4 to this, and then it goes down, then it comes up again. Now, in the hot summer days, in the months, I see them digging their hoofs in to get drinks, and they bed right next to this area. They've been there since I've been a kid. I used to hunt down there. The wildlife isn't anything the way it used to be. But if you allow this to happen, because the way you sloped that land, and then you put all that stone dust on that rocky hill, that water's just gonna flood that area. That's like just shooting down in a water slide into a natural spring area.
Can I
Now,
stop you for a moment?
Sure.
Is that slope that you're talking about, is it on your land that they did it, or is it on their land?
It's on their land.
Okay, all right.
That they did it, but what they did, they put stone dust. So it's all stone dust, so the water has no chance to go into the ground and filter out. So I'm just, as it is, I get flooded out by Country Hill Estates. And now I'm gonna get more flooded out in the back, and not just that, you're gonna ruin this spring that goes down, and now I'm gonna get more flooded out towards my house area, in the whole area. Now, it was working great before you touched it. Seriously, it was working good, it felt it out. That's why years ago, they stopped it and then did all that shit. Okay, they hated it up. What, you find something funny about this? I mean, I find that
Only one
you've already
you've
stole some of my
cle-
land
you've
and filled it
cleared-
in.
This is the problem. We had a survey done, and this gentleman thinks we're now encroaching on his property. You have the opportunity to get a survey done and rebut where the line is.
Buddy, I'm not worried about this.
You just said
property.
we stole your land.
Yeah, you did.
You-
You
did
stole
you s-
some of my land over there. But that ain't the problem. The problem is you're ruining a natural underground spring.
So we're really here,
And you flooded me
Okay,
out.
all right,
we're
okay.
here because of conservation, so I have told, I'm sorry, is it Richard? I deal with
Right.
a lot of people.
Right.
Richard, that he has wetlands on their property, and I think that the wetland edge should be flagged in this area so we can determine the 100-foot buffer zone and figure out exactly where the regulated area is. I think we should do a site visit here.
I mean, give it a chance and take a look at
Okay.
it for yourselves.
Excuse me, you're saying, but the wetlands is on Richard's property.
Right.
Correct.
So,
I didn't do
The
that.
runoff is all
okay,
coming down off
so,
my land.
okay, so if I'm getting this right then, the wetlands are on your property, but you are working within 100, filled in within 100 feet of his wetlands.
We don't know that. So the wetlands that we see, we haven't had an opportunity to speak, so excuse me. The wetlands that we see on the GIS site, we are not within 100 feet, so,
That's inaccurate. It's not,
Okay, so we
we
just-
don't use that.
Okay, all right.
Just so you know.
we're not here to make trouble. We didn't mean to cause you any harm. We bought that house 10 years ago.
12.
Like 12, whatever,
12 years ago.
whatever.
Okay, okay.
We're raising our
They're
family
speaking
there.
now. They're
Yeah,
speaking
seriously,
now.
we're raising our family there. We're not trying to make trouble. We're trying to build a nice backyard. We did not realize that we're in wetlands. Someone needs to help us figure out what wetlands you're talking about, because I thought they were supposed to be marked. I thought they were supposed to be flagged. I thought they were supposed to be registered, of which we don't see any of. So we're trying to figure out what we're in violation of so we can correct it. And that's what we're struggling to figure out.
I did speak with Zenith, who did
Perfect.
the property survey. And there was a gentleman here from Zenith, but it wasn't Niles.
Yep.
Niles contact?
He sent us an
He
email.
said wait for this
But he said
meeting.
wait for the meeting
Yeah.
and then to contact him.
So I think we need a site visit, but I also think that the two property owners should work together to figure out where the wetlands are.
No way. Absolutely not. We are not working with this gentleman to figure out where the
Okay,
wetlands are. We will use a professional, but we are not working
What
directly.
I'm saying is, it's his property, so you guys have to work together. You can't flag his wetland.
I'm not trying to flag his wetland.
I'm just
I'm trying to understand where we are within that wetland, that someone then registers and marks and does all the things so that they're official, and then we can figure out how we remediate around that.
But who determines where the wetlands are?
How far is this fill from your perceived image? And I'm not gonna say you
I'm
did.
not making augers on someone else's.
No, I understand that, but you probably put a visual on
I
it.
think it's in the 100-foot buffer zone.
You think,
to
okay.
where?
So,
To where?
and you think,
What
but
wetland?
it
So
may not
hold
be.
on. So hold on.
Okay, so how you determine a wetland, we passed out little pamphlets, but let me start with this, so.
That would be helpful.
Yeah,
Before that, so this
No.
is what we found.
you can't go on. Nobody can ever go on that. That's just, as you've heard, the numbers.
Where do we go? We have to go to some type of
Where's this
professional
from?
person.
Which one is
That's
theirs?
essentially what we're doing.
Which one is theirs?
Oh, I don't know,
That's what has to be done.
nothing there.
What has to be done?
This is
Can we?
Richard's property, all the way here.
They're basically
So they
saying
gotta
we
be
can't
one
do
of these
anything
houses
ourselves.
here.
We have to go to a professional.
Parameters of wetlands. We determine wetlands by hydrology. If you don't have hydrology, then we look at the soils, and it's always done by vegetation. So you might have a wetland scientist that comes to your property and stands out and looks over Richard's property
Okay.
and says, I
260.
think you're outside the 100-foot buffer zone. I
Oh,
think
it's got a
you're
circle
inside
around
the 100-foot buffer zone. Richard will actually let me walk on the property, and at that point, I could tell you, you are or you aren't. But it's really, because you wanna do the property, do the project, and I am an agent of the town, I can't act as your consultant and tell you what to do, but Zenith can help you, is what I'm trying to say to you. Zenith, you've already hired to do your survey, and help you.
We hired them to do our survey. This is beside the point,
Yeah.
because cutting was occurring on our property. We had no proof. So we had to hire a survey to be done to prove that cutting was happening on our property, just for the record.
Who's cutting?
This gentleman.
You know what I did? I cut a limb off a cedar tree when I was up there cleaning up this property. It hasn't been cleaned for 60.
It was more than a cedar
All right,
limb.
But
It
whatever.
was more than
That's
a cedar
neither
limb.
here
How
nor
But
much
there.
fill did you put in? Just give me an idea. Square
have-
we're
footage.
not construction people. We don't know.
I mean,
50 feet wide, 40 feet, I'm not here to record accurate.
It's right here, so 260 is.
On the far left.
Okay, this is 260.
Yeah,
And this is Richard's
Right.
property. And they've cleared this whole area right here, and then they.
they cleared it, you cleared
Well,
it.
the company that's working for them to level off their property. So when I approved the cabana, I didn't expect that they were gonna have to grade in the wood and the tree.
we just
line.
moved dirt. We weren't intending
But
to.
you didn't just move it, you brought in fill. 'Cause this
No,
is-
no, 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 no.
Absolutely
no,
not. That
no.
is not true.
That's-
That came from
that's-
our backyard.
All that stone dust came from your backyard?
That came from our backyard.
That's a lot of stone dust.
How much surface area are we talking about here?
That's what I was trying to get from the square.
When you say,
That's what
hold
I'm
on.
saying, it's worth the walk.
No,
we
they're
answer-
talking,
can we
the
say-
question is to them.
Just to
So when you
guess.
say the surface area of what?
Of the disturbed area, or the area where the stone dust is, for sake of
So it's hard to say because until we know where the buffer zone is, I'm gonna give you an answer that's to an arbitrary line.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, a guess, you know.
What's your lot size, frontage and depth?
I don't have the survey on me.
Yeah. See, that's why we
Okay.
need the plan and we need.
I mean, we're not trying to be difficult, I just don't have the information with me.
We need a site visit, but I think more importantly, we're gonna go to the site visit, we're gonna say we need this on a survey plan.
Yeah.
Well, it could, but if it's under a certain amount, we might be able to make a determination based on that, you know? Because
It's not even just under a certain amount. If you have to prove to us that you're outside the 100-foot buffer zone. Only way to do that is to have a professional provide you with that.
So basically, we're guilty until proven innocent.
So we have to figure out ourselves what we're in violation of? No, that's what's happening here. No one can tell us where the actual measurement point is from.
I'm not gonna delineate, I am not allowed as the agent of the town to delineate a wetland on someone else's property. This is his property.
Sure.
If he would like to do a delineation to determine that, I strongly recommended that to him.
I'm just, you know, I'm happy, why you having a pool and all that? I don't care about that. The only thing I care about is all that water coming down and flooding out and ruining that underground area.
I don't need.
But if they didn't bring in any stone dust, it was just already there.
Yeah, but where they put it and placed it and made it, it's just gonna like take all the water runoff. and
Okay,
flood
I think a site visit will probably have to be made.
I think we probably need some erosion controls in the meantime though, because if we get a big rain, we're going to get runoff, there's nothing stabilizing that.
Okay.
Well, you asked to stop
Find
doing
your
any
back
work.
border, find the back border of your property and somehow
Sorry, too many people
stabilize it.
talking, I can't hear.
If you get your back two lines
Mhm.
and see where you are and just put some kind of siltation barrier to make sure there's no runoff until this gets settled. If there's no runoff, that's certainly going to be a positive for Richard. And
You can have the contractor contact me about like the erosion control if you'd like, and
I mean, the contractor's a hardscape contractor, right? They're
Yeah.
not a site preparation, right? We had someone do the pool, we have someone doing the hardscape. We've taken material that we had on our property to do the patio, and they moved it, to the back, which we thought was,
We didn't know we were in violation.
yeah, violation.
Within a
Right.
wetland
well,
buffer.
we're trying to settle this amicably between you two and us, because if it's a wetland violation, you might have to just pull up some of that stuff back.
We're
We don't
happy
have a
to do
problem
that.
doing that, but the problem is, we
We don't
don't
know how
know
far
what do
we're
we need to
violating.
do.
You don't know where to start and stop, is what you're saying,
Yes,
right?
Right.
yes.
See, to stop all this, I'll work with you. Like I said, I got no problem with you people. That puts that stone dust in that area.
They have, do you have someone assigned?
she can't keep the minutes if 4 people are talking.
Okay.
Okay? So if you want to solve all the nitty-gritty about all this conservation stuff and all that, that's fine. I'll work with you. It's the only problem is we're saying it's just all this stone dust and the way you've got it slope now, and you put it all over that hill, it's just gonna overflow that area on a good rain. And if you see it from our point of view, you'll see all the water that we get. And you're basically just mainlining it to it, and if you do have any chemicals within that water, it's gonna get into the natural spring, which goes underneath the land and it comes out down through Country Hill at the end and it goes underneath the road. And, I'm sorry, there's deer there.
Yeah, we see them, yeah,
We
and it's
enjoy
more
it.
than just deer.
We enjoy watching the habitat come through.
Just get rid of the stone dust.
Well, we just need to understand, here's the thing,
It's
it's
that
our
simple,
property.
people.
We're not here to make trouble, but we work off of facts. And I would love to, I'm sorry that this Country Hill Drive development has led to issues for you guys, I'm really sorry, but that's not our intent. We just need to understand what we're in violation of, and that's what we're having a hard time figuring out, so we know how to remedy the situation, that's all.
I think we need a site visit first over Richard's house and then second at 260. So we need 2 separate site visits, so we're not trying to do it all at once. Really, I do. I think that's how we need to.
Do you approve of a site visit by us?
Sure, I got no problem with that.
Okay, so you're gonna do the site visit, but I think I heard a few moments ago that you can't delineate where the wetlands are.
She can't delineate, but
So what does the site visit, what does that serve?
it'll give us a good idea of what's going on without giving accurate
Okay.
well, without putting stakes down and
That's fair.
that type of thing.
But with that, the end result's still gonna be, feels like, to get a professional engineer out to do,
That would help to give you information.
That would help us.
Yeah, and.
I mean, we're trying to, just, again, for the record, the project's not done. Lisa came out, we stopped all work there, the stone dust is not the finished product, right? What we have is not the finished product, right? We're gonna plant a lot of green giants, right? We wanna,
So-
clean up the area, add some more trees to it, try to help with some of the, because our yard
don't
right
think
now
from that
is a
perspective.
lot of water. It's very wet, so we're trying to do some things, but we've been stopped midstream back there So now we're in this, zone where we can't do anything, which is fine. We're not gonna do anything there, but it's not the finished product. That's the problem.
We may be able to save you some trouble and time with a site visit, and.
We don't object to a site
we don't
visit.
know.
I'm just trying to skip to the
We don't know where
end.
things start and stop, or even if it's in our jurisdiction, for all we know.
In the meantime, though.
It might not come under us, and we might just say,
Yeah.
Well-
nothing to do with us.
But in the meantime, I think they should put Zenith on standby, because I think they're probably behind like 4 or 5 weeks or something. So, yeah.
So we talked to the survey people, it's not Niles' office himself, it's the one out of New Bedford,
Okay,
the Zenith Land Surveyors,
Yeah.
John Romanelli, I think his name is.
okay.
He said, yeah, Niles has got a long list of
But they have,
stuff.
but they have wetland scientists that work with them. You don't necessarily need, if Niles comes out there, he's probably gonna say he's gonna say the same thing I'm saying. He's not gonna delineate that. Someone else is going to, a wetland scientist is going to. So if you just ask him to put you on the list for wetland scientists to come out, and if Richard's amenable, you guys are gonna figure this out. But in the meantime, I'll schedule a site visit. I think that's just how we have to do, 2 site visits. So
I
when
think
you
we're all
guys,
gonna work together.
when are you guys
Even
free?
though there's a little tension, I still think we're gonna work together. We'll get this done.
I got no problem with that. So when do you guys wanna come over?
Yeah. Do you wanna go out Wednesday?
That's fine. What day is that?
So we'll go to his site first, and then we'll go over there 2 separate times, so it's not jumbled and.
We're not, I don't know if you need us to be there. You're more than welcome
If
to
you
enter the
wanna
property.
be-
We're not. We are leaving town for a little bit.
School
So, but you're
vacation
more
week.
than welcome to help yourself out back.
Okay.
When will you be, when will you return?
The 28th,
Yeah, Monday. the
August,
20th.
April, not August, April.
August, that's a good trip.
Yeah.
You don't need a pool.
Okay.
Do you have boundary stakes on your property? You do, okay.
Yes, and we've
So
left them.
that's important too, boundary stakes.
I have them.
And, what I did in my property, I cut a square out, and I put cement around the pipes that were there, and then I cemented it in so that it wouldn't get moved.
Alright.
And then in the front yard where I mow, I lowered them down to just below the blade level.
Smart.
Thank you. We really
Okay, thank you.
appreciate.
You're all set?
I'm sorry to take your night.
Okay, any idea around what time?
Yeah, I was just
Oh,
gonna say
yeah,
what
we need
time.
to set a time.
Huh?
What time? Are you guys free?
I'm up in the air, so it's 10, 11.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
You
11,
wanna do 11?
11 good with you?
Do 11, that'll give me time to get into the office.
Oh, yeah, we're dirt people, we're conservation, you know?
I had a
Dirt and
feeling
water.
you guys were. Hey, thank you very much,
okay.
guys.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Wednesday.
Can we also schedule a site visit for our,
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll do 2 separate dates that way there when they get with you guys, or do you want us to do it on our own? Yeah.
I mean,
It'd be better with them there.
I know. I kind of feel like we should do it with them there too.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready to move on then?
Well, no,
You know,
Jen, we're
trying to do a
talking about
site visit, trying to schedule the site visit.
okay.
Okay, let's see here. The 28th is a Monday. What do you want to do, like Tuesday or Wednesday? What about Wednesday?
I mean, I can do Monday, I can do
Oh,
Monday,
yeah.
28th.
You can do Monday? Okay. I can do Monday.
What time?
That's the 28th, I think.
Yep.
You want to do 11 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna do Monday, the 28th at 11 at Country Hill Drive, and then we're gonna do, what do we say, Wednesday, the 23rd
Good, yep,
at 11?
yep.
At,
Well, you would access through Country Hill, wouldn't you, to the, that's a long way, a long walk back.
That happens.
What's Richard's last name?
This is, I have it in email. Anyways, it's a lot south of 648 Somerset Ave. There's no number on this.
right next to Don Boyce's house.
Oh, wait a minute, I think I have it right. I did print up nice aerials for you guys and everything for this, but I forgot to hand it over to you.
Thank you.
So the 20th.
28th, 11th.
Are we all set?
Yes, you're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Nice meeting you folks.
Have
Bye
a
now.
nice trip. Thank you.
Okay, we,
Well, anyways, I have different
okay,
Richards.
Richard, okay.
He doesn't know the property, his mother does, I don't know.
Okay, other business is a proposed warrant article for conservation revolving fund.
Yeah, I think it's just a technicality that we have to vote on that, but before we can do that item, but I think we should take this.
Is it Elm Street?
Yes,
Yeah.
2365.
We gotta take it, take other business, wait a minute, out of order here.
Okay,
No, you can get up, it's fine. So he isn't actually on other business, cause I just found this one yesterday. Well, actually, we have a public input.
okay, okay, a motion to take Lewis Street out of order?
It's not Lewis Street.
Elm Street, I'm sorry, Elm Street. Out of order, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Before you
Elm-
start, I sent you guys an email with some of his information. You saw it? Did you see it? Here it is. Here it is.
where, this is Elm Street here?
Yeah, that's his,
This is all cut, everything in blue has been cut?
I have the exact measurements what I cut out.
A lot.
It is 115 feet wide by 50 feet long.
only 50 feet long?
It's exact, when you left yesterday, ma'am, I measured everything out. Exactly.
We're at 50 feet times what?
That's 5,750 square feet total. And the reason for that is what I want to speak to you guys about. So last fall, a tree fell in my pool. Okay, I have an underground pool. It cost me $13,000 for a new liner. So the trees in my backyard, they were pretty much right up to my fence line in my backyard. And over this winter, I was worried about more trees falling on my property. So I says, ain't happening. So I took that little section of trees down. I said, it's not happening. So I have that bare spot now, and I says to my wife, I says, what are we gonna do? Let's just do a little farm for the kids. So now I wanna put a pole barn up, a small pole barn, 10 by 10 pole barn. I'm not doing development like some of these people here are doing to today's meeting. I was like in shock with all that they're building. I'm doing a 10 by 10 pole barn. Now putting a foundation in, nothing like that. I have the lot size here. I measured the lot, so.
Put in a driveway too.
No, it's not a driveway. It's not a driveway. So what I do is I threw some gravel down on the side of my property so I can bring a trail in there with the wood because I purchased the wood for the pole barn already. Okay? So, and I park my work truck there on the side of my driveway. So anyway, that's the purpose of the driveway. And you guys are welcome to come down anytime. I have nothing to hide. So I first went down to see Mr. Agia, the building inspector. I think that's who it is, Mr. Agia. And so now, mind you, where this lot sits, I have no neighbors whatsoever. The town of Dayton actually owns the property around me. So I could have chose to do this without pulling any permits, silently, and just do it, and I didn't. I did the right thing, went down, did the right thing, pulled the permits. I want to do everything legit, so there's no issues. And here I am now. So she came down, which was not a problem, and she saw a little section of my land in the corner where she says that might possibly be wetlands.
It appears to be the skunk caddis from
Okay.
So, that little spot there, the water comes down, I know because I live there, the water comes down the property, comes across the property there, goes down the swale, which I mentioned to her and I showed her, and goes down the property, on my property down the side. That's a low spot in my property there that builds a little water once in a while that mostly stays dry most of the time. Okay, so that's what she's seeing there. That whole property in the backyard is ledge. That's all ledge back there. There's no wetlands, and I'll show you why there's no wetlands. I have here, which you guys can probably pass it around. I should have made copies.
Umbrellas?
I have Alex's plan, and I did contact him today, so the engineer that did the survey plan for the septic system, he confirmed with me that he didn't actually have a wetland scientist come out to the site, but that was back in 2016.
Okay. Is all this cutting in wetlands?
Part of it is in the buffer zone, but we should do a site visit.
Absolutely. Now, here's the thing, with the buffer zone, it's 100 feet. If that buffer zone is actually 100 feet, that house would not be built there. From that buffer zone that she's indicating, it's about 60 feet to that buffer zone. It's a 3,000
When
foot
was the
home.
house built?
It's 60 feet from that buffer zone.
When?
2016.
Yeah,
2016.
I started in 21.
If anyone that's in the construction industry knows, which I know he knows there, you will know that's not wetlands there. You clearly see it. You see that's a wet spot that's just been wet for a little while. That's not wetlands.
Well, we have, in our bylaw, did I send it to you yet? We have isolated wetlands as wetlands. So in this case, I believe this is an isolated, well, it may be an isolated wetland, but in any case,
I don't know if you want to.
it's sheet flow that
So I don't know if
starts
you want to pass that down.
in the south of his property, and it travels across just beyond the area where they had fenced, where they had
Yeah.
stopped and fenced the area, which is the area he cleared. And then it goes north, and someone actually created a drainage ditch on the town property near.
Is this?
It's not the
south
town's
of-
property.
Is this south of Hart Street?
This is
East,
north
north of Hart Street.
north of Hart Street, which is on my property, which I have the property lines here.
East side.
I went out.
The water tower?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's right there.
just south of there.
Which I have all property lines here, which
Okay.
I went out when I told you when I talked to you yesterday, I went out and I measured everything out myself.
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, I do this for a living. I went out and measured out myself, and the stone walls actually on the property is exact to the dimensions that is on the town records, which is here. I don't know if you want to pass that down or not, make a difference, but is there. That's my property. And then the trees that I took down, I'm saving them, which is sitting on my property. I'm saving because I'm going to use them for firewood. I'm going to chop them up and use for firewood. It's on my property. And you can walk it. You can see it. There's four-wheel trails that go all through the water department's property. So my land sits here, and the water department's property is right around me. I have no neighbors. It's myself, my home, that's it. You know? And I want to put a little 10 by 10 pole barn for me and the kids and put some goats and some sheep there. That's all I'm looking to do.
You're gonna be able to do that, we just
You know?
need to make sure that we're not having.
Whether I put it, I'll put it anywhere. It doesn't matter where I want to put it back there, you know? It's just, you know, I know that's not wetlands. I know there's no wetlands there. I just can't see, and my issue is this, I can't see myself paying a scientist to go there to take a sample of land. It's insane. When it's showing here, if you want to look at that.
It's near that big rock, there. There's a huge rock.
Rock. It's all rock.
You're in the right
With,
area.
with a dank
It's all rock.
conglomerate, pebblestone.
That's all rock. You know?
It's in the clay.
That's clay. That's on top of the rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
It's trapped water.
Right, the rock is causing the wetlands to perch there, so that's
The
why
rock.
you don't have permeability because of the rock.
I know that rock I stopped at that rock and actually studied that rock for a while with all its different pebbles in it, trying to figure out where they came from.
In actuality, sir, where my house sits, if you go back about, I would say, 800 feet, roughly. I'm not exact. There's a marker because I know, because I go back there walking with the kids all the time. There's a massive rock back there. There's a massive drop. There's a marker that's engineered, stamped there. That's the highest point in Dayton. The highest point in Dayton.
You can still.
How can I have?
You can still.
How can I have?
You can
Okay.
have, you can have a.
But
a
my
wetland
property
in-
picture's like this.
It's crazy.
Let's be realistic. Come on.
It's
My property picture's like this.
Hart Street, which is pretty
Right?
high, has
And
wetlands.
you know, so that's my fight. That's my fight. You know, that's
Yeah,
my fight.
it's a perched water table because of those rocks.
You know, that's my
So
fight.
I guess at this point, let's do a site visit and we'll.
Feel free. I have
put 'em in the
nothing.
way-
I have nothing
and
to hide.
You seem to, you'll put the bond wherever it needs to be
Whatever.
put.
Listen, if it's a problem where
This is no brainer.
Okay.
we see
All
it.
right.
You know,
Site visit it will be.
as soon as you can.
Set up
When
a,
I got there, you were pouring concrete.
I was putting up a pole. One pole, and she showed up. You know, and I stopped. She said stop, and I stopped. I shut it down. You know. I shut it
okay,
down.
let's just leave it at that then for the time being.
Yeah.
Site visit will be coming and,
We do it at the same time as we do Country Hill. You wanna go? Can we go there during the day?
I have listen. If you want to meet me in the afternoon, I get out about 4 o'clock. I'm home by 4:30ish. I'm home.
I'm only part-time over here, so.
You know.
I try not to work past 4.
If you want to go during the day, that's fine with me. I don't go. I have nothing to hide. Go
oh,
swing
you said
by.
11 o'clock for country.
Dog's not gonna attack?
My dog's inside during the day.
Chicken's not gonna
No, the kids go back to school next week,
Oh, good.
so it's not a problem. That's not a problem. You know.
Don't worry about the dog, it's
So
the
we
kids
can,
you gotta watch
we
out
can
for.
double up on the 23rd.
Yeah, if you want to swing by, you know what I mean. And here's the thing: with all this rain we just had,
Yeah.
there's water everywhere. Everything looks like you know.
But
Everything
we
looks
go
like.
on
you know.
hydrology, vegetation, and soils. And you actually had some good holes there for me to be able to see the gray and I believe.
That's subsoil.
You own
That's
a very
subsoil.
small wetland, but I believe a portion of your lot is in a buffer zone and then there is a small wetland, is what I believe.
Yeah.
And I believe the wetland and the soils mapping shows it actually goes north of you on the water department land and then down. And
But the interesting
some of
part-
the drainage ditch there.
Which but that sits on my property, that drainage ditch. But the funny part is, like you're saying, if that is the wetland section, you know, and I'm not trying to be tough, and I'm not trying to start, like, you know, we have a lot of issues with that guy, and I'm not trying to go there. But if that is the wetlands, like you're saying, you know, and you need a 100-foot buffer, that house could have never been built there. Nor could that tower, the wetland tower, be there. You see?
Oh, well,
That,
actually,
that
that's
tower was put up back in
Yeah.
the 60s, so.
before
And,
You know what I'm saying?
and, okay.
And then the
laws
highest
have
point of
changed
Dayton
a
is
lot
800
since-
feet behind me.
You know, the laws have changed a lot since houses have been built,
Yeah.
even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And
That's
and us being
that's
notified.
folklore, the highest
Yeah.
point. The highest point could be in West Dayton.
No,
Letting you know.
that's crazy. That's crazy. But anyway,
Okay.
that's what I'm looking to do.
Okay, all right.
I'm
I
gonna do
think you're all set for a site visit and all that, so.
So we'll double up on the 23rd?
Yeah, we appreciate your cooperation, so
Yeah.
we'll, have a site visit, and do you have an email? We'll send you an email, how's that?
Yeah, I'll write it down for you, and then you can
Okay.
let me know. You know.
Yeah.
And then, so you're saying it was 23rd? We'll go by and then. we'll
Wednesday.
determine- Wednesday. Okay. All right.
So, yeah, if you wanna just write down.
Yeah, I'll write it down for you.
Okay.
Now, do I still have to hire the scientist to come and test the soil? I mean, I don't feel that, I don't think I have to. I don't think it's necessary to test my soil.
Either that, or I could just tell you where they are. Which would you rather?
What do you mean, tell me,
I mean, if I tell you where the wetlands are, then you just have to.
So I just avoid that section. I mean, I'll put some bushes, I'll plant a tree if you want.
Well, that's why you need a wetland scientist work with you on that, because like I just told them, I can't.
Chestnut trees don't grow in wetlands.
Listen, there was trees growing in.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's not wetlands there.
What? Oh, trees grow
Oh,
in
trees
wetlands.
grow, yeah,
But I'm saying it's
especially the maples.
all right, I'm gonna write this
And see, okay, let us move on here. Proposed warrant article for conservation revolving fund. We're gonna, new applications, or having fees, And if we have these fees put into a special account, it would be very beneficial, I think, to the commission. But it has to go on town warrant. And I don't know how, Lisa, you would get Paul to write this up so it would be accurate?
Yeah, he's gonna need.
Okay. Do we want to have discussion on that, or we just want to take a vote and to set up a revolving account on the town warrant?
I don't know.
Oh, we might as well,
Okay with the revolving.
might as well set it up, right?
Yeah, and well,
And that way
then
we
the people have to vote on it to give us a revolving
So
account.
I'd rather keep it.
So the funds would become ours rather than.
Thank you, good night.
So how's it gonna work?
I don't know exactly how it works. That would be Paul's department, but money that comes in for filing fees,
On new filing fees.
for, let's say fines even, this money would go into our revolving account, which would be used at our discretion.
I understand that part, so, but we're basically deciding now how we wanna set it up so that the funds can basically be utilized for the commission?
Yes, and it would, I think Paul would be the one to
Yeah.
write up the warrant article, then it has to be voted upon by the town members.
Right.
At town meeting, which would be, gee, it's coming up soon though, right?
Very soon, June. Dave, do you know when
No.
it is?
What's that?
The town meeting?
No, I don't have that in front of me. I know it's.
Okay, so if we vote on that, Paul can probably get onto it, write up an article, a warrant article, and then, it would be submitted to the selectmen for,
I think that's the way to go.
you know, because we just got those, in the new bylaw, or the amendments to the bylaw, we have, funding. And let all this money go in there that we can use rather than someone else trying to grab it on us. I mean, let's face it, this commission is probably the cheapest board of anything in town, and because none of us are getting paid, Lisa's the only one that's getting paid, and the individual doing the minutes. And other departments get, they get overtime.
Right.
You know, they work in snowstorms, or someone's sick and they work overtime, but,
Right.
we get nothing. I mean, I'm not saying it is, you know, I knew that for us, but for the department itself.
And then, at times Lisa doesn't get fully compensated.
There you go. We asked for 5, last week, Lisa and I went to ask for 5 additional hours, and we were shot down.
Really?
We were shot down for 5 additional hours last week, which would have cost the town $5,000 more over last year's budget, because we had already cut the budget by $6,000. And so this would have been a total of $11,000 per year for the 5 additional hours per week. And it's, or 5,000 roughly, over last year's budget. And we were shot down. You know, but how many departments get overtime? You know, I mean, yeah.
I get comp time and I hope that I can use it the next week, because I haven't even used all my vacation time from the
Yeah.
last fiscal
Well,
year.
okay, so is there a motion to propose a warrant article for conservation revolving fund?
So moved.
Okay, Dave makes the motion,
Second.
Abel seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll have Paul write that up, since he's good at that. Okay, next item is, to accept the minutes from October 17th, 2024, and February 20th, 2025. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Bills payable, that's been taken care of?
I have them here if you guys wanna look at them. I mean, I only pay bills like once a month, but there's also payroll in here.
Okay, all right. Well, that's been signed already, payroll by myself or by Paul.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I don't know if we have to make any motion on that. It's just a review. Okay, and review and discuss annual report. It was, I had it here somewhere, and I know Dave saw it and Jack saw it. Abel, I don't know if you show it to Abel, if you want to have any comments on that.
It was already due. I'm not sure if they are at the printers yet or anything, but,
That's been submitted already, correct?
Yeah, I
Okay,
just-
all right. And the next item, it says, discuss act upon the request for the Board of Selectmen, and I think I just got that in there.
Yes, you did.
I kind of combined it with something else, but I wanted to keep you up to date on what transpired, but Lisa and I were here, and we got nowhere. Okay, next,
did you vote on the minutes?
Yes.
yes.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, Bob Brimmer, Robert Brimmer. We had a vote, about a year ago, we voted him in as an associate member, but we did not forward the, our vote to the selectmen at that time, since he was working on a site that was involved with us, and we didn't want anything to even appear as though it would be conflict of interest. So we delayed submitting it. And what I would like to do is to reaffirm the request to have Bob Brimmer as a new associate member to the commission.
I just wanted to bring to your attention that, I don't know if you heard Glenda, but she is, Glenda at 2134. I think she's planning on hiring Bob. And I knew that, so I did have a discussion with him about that. He'd have to do, even as an associate member, he'd have to take the conflict of interest ethics training.
Yeah.
And he'd have to recuse himself from any of that. Even though he doesn't vote, he still should step out of the room.
I don't think there's a problem with
Right.
that.
Right.
That's
You
only
know.
a one, that's only gonna be a short
He can do that.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, so.
So, I
You
just
know,
want to make you guys
I mean,
aware.
we've all stepped down when we knew somebody, because we are town members, it's a small town, and, you know, I stepped down, when I knew someone working on it, you have,
I
Jack
have too.
has, I don't know if you have, you did, yeah, you did once on Main Street,
I have
so-
too.
yeah.
Paul
that's right.
has.
So we all have, we just have to be
Cognizant.
cognitive of it, yes, yeah, okay, so.
While we're on the topic, Jack took the ethics training, Dave just took it,
I
Jim took it, I took it.
I haven't finished it.
Okay,
But
it's on you to do.
you know, I might to do, but I did some of it back when. For some reason, I didn't finish it.
Yeah, it only should take you 45 minutes unless you're
Oh,
Jim.
It kept, that machine kept on ticking back to what I've already done, and the 90% of it had nothing to do with, it was dealing with education. Teachers doing, taking kids on field trips and doing stuff, and it didn't have anything to do with us.
You never took us on any field trips. Come on now.
We're going on one on the 22 on the 23rd.
Oh,
You gotta wear your muck boots.
Okay, do I have a vote to reaffirm and send our decision to the selectmen for a vote?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we got 2 seconds. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Lisa, on Tuesday, then you can send that to the selectmen that we have approved Robert Brimmer
Okay.
for associate member.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Wait a minute, so who made the motion? Sorry.
Dave made the motion, and I don't know who was first on it. Jack,
think-
put Jack's name. Jack doesn't do too many seconds.
Yeah, you did a second there.
Yeah.
Great. All right, thank you. Great.
Okay, we did Lewis Street?
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
Nope.
Okay. Go ahead, Lewis Street.
All right, so as you may recall, and I expected the woman, Barbara Fontaine, to be present tonight, but she is not. So, at our 2:20 meeting.
Oh, is this the water, the groundwater?
Yeah. So at our, do
You
you
know-
want me to read it for the record, or?
No, I don't think,
Well, I think we should at least read your letter response, because how it went down was our 2:20 meeting, she brought up concerns about potential contamination on her street and high cancer rates. In response to that, March 24th, we wrote a very short letter. We should read it for the record.
Go
I
ahead.
think we should. All right, it was dated March 24th, 2025. It was addressed to the Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator Ralph Fataco, Mass DEP, and the Dayton Water District. Complaint received at a public hearing. The Conservation Commission received a notice of intent application from Tim Cussin of Parallel Products Solar Energy for construction at Borges Auto, 2200 Lewis Street, map 14, lot 41, for 2 solar canopies and associated utilities, Mass DEP file numbers SE 017-0513. At the open discussion point, a neighbor said there was an unusual high rate of cancer in the neighborhood. We expected the site to be reviewed under peer review. Since that time, the applicant has withdrawn the notice of intent. The commission does not have evidence of said problem, but believes that further investigation is needed. The commission does not have the expertise to follow up. However, we suggest these issues for you. Is the groundwater and/or soils contaminated? Is public water supply and/or private wells at risk? Sincerely, Dayton Conservation Commission, James Digits, Conservation Chairman, and we copied the commissioners. Again, it was sent to the Board of Health, Board of Selectmen, Ralph Vitaco, Mass DEP, and Dayton Water District. We did get a response from the Board of Health saying that they are not aware of any spills in the area, and we did get a response from DEP.
saying that they don't know anything.
Yeah, DEP sent us a response on March 27th. Mass DEP Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup is in receipt of the attached letter based on Mass DEP's review of documented releases and spills in Dayton. Mass DEP has no record of reportable spills or releases of oil or hazardous materials at 2200 Lewis Street. As for private wells are regulated by the Town Board of Health. We are not aware of any private water supplies adversely affected by contaminants in the area. Please reach out with any questions. Take care, Angela Gallagher. Angela Gallagher is the Chief Site Management C&E section of Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup in Lakeville.
Okay, I'm gonna cut in now.
I did forward this, and we did get a letter follow-up from Barbara Fontaine as well, which reiterated what she said.
Okay, I sent the letter off to all those departments because it's not our jurisdiction, but I don't want anyone to think that this commission is negligent in its duties. We forward it to all the possible departments, agencies that may have interest in that. And it seems like 2 of them have already disavowed any knowledge of any wrongdoing. I really think that if there is a problem, then the neighbors that have cancer, or that got cancer or whatever, then they have to follow up on their own to have their wells tested, if they have wells, or have their ground source tested to see if anything is seeping underneath. That is not part of this commission's function to do that kind of work. So again, it went off to anyone who might have a jurisdiction, and then let them grab the bull by the horns. So just trying to be responsible here.
Thank you.
Okay, a memo received from the Board of Health. We all got that? He works on everybody's day off. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. the Board of Health agent. Not, I guess, easy, here, if something happens, he's gonna call Lisa, and Lisa's gonna have her phone shut off because they, she can't even get 5 extra hours a week. Why should she have her phone open on weekends to take calls? It becomes a problem.
We did invite the Board of Health to our meeting, but no one could come. The
Okay.
agent is away.
I suggested to Lisa that we just forward our bylaws to them and say, hey, we have jurisdiction 100 feet. If you're not sure where the wetlands are, that's where we come, that's our responsibility. And don't cut us short on 3 days notice, give us 3 days notice when we don't work the same time you do.
So I think, if you read through the Board of Health's new Board of Health Procedures and Policies, that's what we're really referring to right now.
But, well, so anyway, it can work, but we have to be responsive to each other. They have to be aware that, hey, here's the septic system, a request for one. If you don't know, send an email.
Well, so in place, we do have the PERC location review that the Conservation Commission has been a part of it for over 25 years. Previously, we had Charlie doing the reviews, and the form has changed a couple times over the years, but most recently, in the fall, Barbara Katabi and I amended the memo and, not memo, sorry, the application. We brought it to the Board of Health for approval. We added dig safe number to it. We clarified a couple of things on the form that was confusing, and we asked that they also include a map of where they want to perk, so that when I go out there, so basically how it works is the Board of Health gets the application, they forward it to me. The application includes everything's completed, needs to be completed on the application, and then it includes a plan that, not just a sketch, not a real plan, but just a sketch location of where they want to perk, so I can go out and make sure that they're keeping 100 feet away from a wetland, 200 feet away from a river, they're not in a flood zone, and if they are, I don't hold up the perk. However, I tell them, you are gonna have to deal with conservation going forward, or you're not. So that's worked pretty well as long as it works, and as long as the communication is there. But we got invited to the Board of Health meeting this past Tuesday, and it was brought up on the agenda that they wanted to modify that application process to eliminate our review and only have our review when the agent deems necessary. But that raises a couple red flags, as me and Jim were talking about, because technically we determine the presence of wetland, not them. So how would that work? And we've already ran into some situations.
Yeah, we've had a lot of issues.
That's why these
Because
people
of that.
are into
Yeah,
trouble, because
right.
we weren't notified in 2016 that their house had a building permit, and the house went in.
Or a perk,
Or a perk.
right?
This is where the problems are. So now he's suffering with problems, and there's houses like that scattered throughout the town, that are in
There's
problem
garages,
areas.
there's garages and barns and a
Also,
lot of buildings like that.
But especially septic systems that are gonna
Oh, no, yeah.
bubble up and flood out, and then there's no room to put new ones, or,
right, so
know,
it's, we're not gonna review the design of the septic system, but we need to be included, because as you know, we regulate land within 100 feet of a wetland, 200 feet of a river, or in a flood zone. So, they've asked that, I asked them to table that item for editing that perk location review application, and they have tabled it, which I was very grateful they did that, because I sent an email, I'm sure you guys saw it, that, you know, we believe that this is an important part of the process to let people know ahead of time, so it doesn't come up later on and it's a big surprise.
You know, and like we're still getting them, like this fellow here tonight, he's saying my house shouldn't have been built there. Yeah, well, how come we didn't know about it?
Back then you could. It's just like,
No, that was 16 years ago,
No,
10 years ago.
No,
whatever.
it was, 9.
but, I mean,
Still.
look at, what's it, Rebecca Road?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's,
Yep.
you gotta put up with it because that's what it was.
Yep.
Well, and it's also access to the site for the perk and for the septic system. Because a lot of times they're not thinking about the access, they're just trying to figure out if they can add another lot, right? So, I mean, look at 833 Williams, we had a major problem over there. It dragged on longer than it should have, but they didn't flag all the wetlands. They didn't think they needed to deal with us, and they ended up losing a lot, and then they ended up designing a septic system and having to move the septic system.
And then they
All
sold
that
the
stuff,
house.
right.
and then what?
And they sold the house.
Oh,
And now this, you know, so,
Sold the property.
and in fact, that one, for example, they left the perk area a real mess, and that's in the buffer zone. So that would have been eliminated if I was part of that review. But I wasn't at the time because someone was the Board of Health director.
well,
that-
you know, and what
That
happens
verbally
is,
said they didn't think that I should have, the conservation should have to review perks. So, you know, I think we need to go, someone needs to go to the next meeting, or, I mean, it doesn't sound like they're gonna be able to come to ours. Their meeting is via Zoom too, so that's great. The next meeting. See, I wrote it down here. I must wrote it on the other calendar, let's see. Does anybody wanna go besides me?
when is it?
That, I'm getting there. Okay, May 20th at 4 PM,
May 20th,
yes.
4 PM.
Let me make sure. Yeah, May 20th at 4 PM, I already had it on here.
Wow, that's a month, that's a whole, yeah, full month, okay. All right.
But in the meantime, you know,
There's plenty of time to decide.
so I guess the only other question is, you know, maybe the concern is that there's they charge a fee, but I think we actually have a fee, we have a $50 fee. Do we want to eliminate that fee, to make it more appealing for someone to say, we want to, you know, make it easier for a perk?
They look forward to getting that fee.
Yeah. I think we should eliminate the fee.
Well,
Well, talk about eliminating the fee, but,
Okay, but
We
I
could do
would
it at our
rather-
next
I'd like,
meeting.
I don't want to change the bylaw, we'll just won't push the issue.
well, it's not,
Wait a minute, because
Yeah.
there's a difference between a single homeowner and a developer with 50 houses. And they're gonna call you out over and over and over again. You're gonna keep record of who is requiring you on.
I always have, I have a
Okay,
file.
all right.
I
No,
mean-
but I meant for,
Yeah.
if they have you come out too many times to a site, they get charged.
Well, no, the fee is part of the perk application form. It's separate than an RDA or anything like that.
Okay, all right.
But,
Can we make it just the first visit?
well, it's only one fee. It's, yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm saying,
yeah.
we won't push it for the first visit, but if you're gonna go repetitively,
because they didn't do anything, and they say, oh, I'm all ready, and you go out there, and there's no flags, there's no nothing, and you.
Well,
Go for nothing.
yeah, so maybe we just keep the $50 fee then, because that would get kind of cumbersome to who's gonna manage that process.
Well, that would go into the revolving account.
Yeah, well, right now, there is a separate line item for perks. I guess we need to find out from Paul if that's already going into a revolving
Yeah.
account. But anyways, yeah, so it was good we discussed these procedures and policies.
Okay. Are we all set then for tonight?
I am.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Seconded by Abel, all in favor?
Aye.
Our next meeting is May 15th,
Okay.
in case we didn't say it enough.
Okay, now, are we off the air?